package, a $30 value, yours free. You get the bendable tube to get into tough spots like under appliances, the crevice nozzle to reach into those cracks and crevices, and the soft brush nozzle to vacuum gently with no scratches. You'll get the duck with all the deluxe attachments, but supplies are limited, so there's a strict limit of 3 per order. This may be your last chance to get yours at this low price. So don't delay. Duck it up today.
To order, call 1-800-692-0144 or visit duckback.com. So call 1-800-692-0144 or visit duckback.com. Order now.
Ahead on American Sunrise Early Edition, perhaps we're finally getting closer to learning the truth about the Jeffrey Epstein case. A House committee subpoenas tons of big names, from Bill and Hillary Clinton to former FBI directors and more. Meanwhile, the Justice Department may release the audio tapes of its interview with Ghislaine Maxwell. The Justice Department gets even more serious about sanctuary cities, listing the names of 34 jurisdictions that are in violation of federal immigration laws and are now on track to get sued. President Trump says he and some of his supporters were deliberately debanked by the biggest financial institutions in America in 2021. And now the Trump team is working to see that never happens again to anyone simply because of their political leanings. The crucial governor's race in Virginia could be shaken up by an abortion cover-up scandal at a high school where parents were deliberately kept in the dark. I've got that story for you. And who says school vouchers are just for southern red states and religious fanatics? New Hampshire's newly expanded school voucher system sells out in a flash. American Sunrise Early Edition starts now.
Welcome to American Sunrise Early Edition, the show where faith, freedom, and the values that built this nation take center stage.
Your good deeds and bad deeds. That's how we're going to judge you.
Join host Jake Novak as he breaks down the stories that matter.
We will be letting the public know regularly what we have found.
American Sunrise Early Edition with your host, Jake Novak, starts now.
Welcome to this Wednesday here in American Sunrise Early Edition. I'm Jake Novak. I feel like so much of the news today and the last few weeks has all been about probes, grand juries, investigations, charges. But hey, that's what the news is these days. And again, even just breaking overnight, Adam Schiff, the senator from California, under a criminal probe for all that mortgage fraud he's accused of committing. My next guest talked about that a lot, but we're going to talk about some other issues with him today. He is independent investigative journalist Walter Kurt. He's also the guy behind a great Substack you should subscribe to called the WC Dispatch. Walter, this feels like what we're hearing now about these subpoenas for all these people who may or may not have been connected to Jeffrey Epstein. This feels like the right way, I think, to get into all of this, to get at all this info that we want. We want to find out what's going on. And so, yeah, subpoena the Clintons, subpoena Eric Holder, subpoena Merrick Garland, subpoena all these people to try to find something out. You, by the way, I remember, Walter, had been preaching patience and making sure we go by the book with things. I feel like this is a good start.
I think it is. But, the fastest way to get rid of any information in the mainstream media is to start immediately talking about Bill and Hillary Clinton. So I think this was the best move they've come up with so far. There's a lot of people that were wondering why Trump was digging this PR hole about the Epstein stuff. He normally it's kind of mischaracteristic for Trump, right? Normally he's so good with PR. In this story, it seemed like he was just kind of off for some reason. Well, I think this is why, because he was letting them dig this hole really, really deep, and then they're just going to push them into it by having the Clintons be immediately subpoenaed and brought forward to testify in Congress. So I think it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. I think that that all of the people that are connected to this, it's going to be very interesting to see what they have to say in Congress. Imagine if Bill and Hillary have to plead the fifth in Congress to anything. That would just be fantastic television. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, you're already seeing the contortionist mainstream media bending and stretching here. Now, again, your point is well taken. The mainstream media, which have been ignoring the Jeffrey Epstein case for years, suddenly made it their cause celeb for the last few weeks because they felt maybe there was a way to connect it to Trump. And so I was wondering how they would be covering these subpoenas this morning now that Bill and Hillary Clinton are part of it, Eric Holder, so many other people. And sure enough, they're reporting only on the second part of the story, which is that the Justice Department may or may not release the transcripts or even the audio of the Ghislaine Maxwell interview. In their headlines on CNN.com, you don't find the whole subpoena thing. It's just amazing. But the contortions will be too hard for even them to pull off if it turns out there's a lot of information that implicates the Clintons only. Then they'll have to find some magical way to get that story up the headlines, maybe just declare themselves out of business. That might be, maybe they'll pull the plug on themselves. Walter, we also seem to be on the right track when it comes to investigating the Russiagate collusion hoax and the people involved in it. Of course, a big story, I think still the biggest story of the week. If you don't agree, that's okay. But the fact that we have this grand jury process beginning, the fact that it'll probably be seated in Florida and not in D.C., where I wouldn't trust a grand jury pool, frankly, of people who would probably not be the greatest and most impartial jurors. I think that this is also a good process. These people, thankfully, all these players that we're talking about in the story, they're still alive. They're still relatively healthy. These people can be tried. These people can be charged. Again, a good process as long as this continues to move, no pun intended, judiciously.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, this, without question, to me, is still the biggest story. I don't care what anybody says. This is the most important story in the country. We got to figure out why we allowed intel officers to remove a sitting president, and why we then didn't arrest them, didn't jail any of them, half these guys didn't even don't even really have anything happen to them at all. There's a number of them, Peter Strzok, Rod Rosenstein, even after they were fired from the FBI, they were given large settlements, $1 million settlements in the Biden administration for being fired from the FBI because they said they were being wrongfully fired. So these people really don't see any consequences. They haven't seen any consequences. So I'm very much looking forward to this grand jury sitting. I am happy that it is in Florida. That was always my worry, is how do you charge these people in Washington, D.C., because the district courts there are terrible. And the press, the pool that you would get is going to be nothing but, fellow intel people that are going to end up on that pool. They're fellow travelers. I just read a group from a group called Steady State. It's 300 plus of these people that are, they support all different sorts of different stuff. I'll have to talk about that later, though.
Yeah. Let's get to your exclusive story, because I think this has a role to play in an election I think needs a lot more coverage. We need to be covering this Virginia governor's race much more than we are, both the right and left-wing news media. You have a story exposing a high school in Northern Virginia that, according to your story, was arranging abortions for students without telling their parents. Do I have that right?
That is correct. So the story goes that we've got two students that were essentially they confided in a teacher that they did this, and I actually have the letter and I have recordings of these people, of these teachers talking with the students and confirming this information. And they have more documents, and I've reviewed pretty much all of it. But yes, so the idea is that they would take the students to the abortion clinic, pay for the abortions themselves, and they would never tell your family about it, which is in direct violation of Virginia law. Virginia has a law about parental notification. Unless a judge excuses you, that is illegal. You can't do that. You have to have a parent sign off, or at the bare minimum, it has to be a family member or considered legal guardian must be informed. And there's recordings from the legal guardians of one of these girls that shows that he was not informed. There was no written consent. There was nothing. So this is a legal action. So the question is why, what the next step is for me. And I think there needs to be an investigation to figure out what's going on in the school, because my thought is, if there's two, and one of these is really egregious. I mean, one of these girls was 5 months pregnant, and she ran from the clinic. She didn't go through with it, so she had the baby. But it's pretty gross stuff. So I want to know, how many other girls are part of this. That's what I'd really like to know.
Yeah, and for everyone watching this, or if you have some friends who debate you on this, look, this is not really a debate, believe it or not, about abortion rights or lack thereof. That's not what this is about. And if you had a teacher at a school who felt, for example, that maybe a student would be in physical danger from a parent if they knew about this, there's a legal process to do this. You go to the police, you go to child services. That's what you are legally required to do, and that's the way to do it, even if you are some kind of radical leftist who believes in all this kind of stuff and believes it should be a right and something to be celebrated or whatever it is. That's not what we're debating here. We're debating about what the legal process is for a child who may be endangered. And so the only argument I think that can be to justify doing this without telling the parents is that they say, well, I thought the child would be endangered. Okay, there are ways to do that other than to drive them to an abortion clinic. That's not really the care that you think it is. Now, I want to tie this, Walter, to the Virginia governor's race because I want everyone to listen to what Abigail Spanberger had to say. She is the Democrat nominee for governor of Virginia, asked a question about this, just this kind of scenario. Check it out.
You believe minors in Virginia should get parental consent before having an abortion?
I think it is important that we have a constitutional guarantee of access to abortion. And notably, the constitutional amendment that is going through the process here in Virginia is similar, almost identical to what has passed in states like Michigan and Ohio and other states, very mixed political states, where the issue of and the question of abortion is a politically charged one.
Okay, so that's a non-answer. She's just not willing to say, yeah, parents should be notified, alike Virginia law. Hey, Walter, Winsome Earl Sears is Spanberger's opponent. She just got President Trump's endorsement. Is this an opening for her? Because remember, Walter, it was Loudoun County and the school boards going against parents that, in my opinion, was the reason why Glenn Youngkin, the current governor of Virginia, won that race as a Republican. This feels like a similar opening for Winsome Sears, if she's able to take advantage of it. Do you think this could become an issue in that race?
I think it could be. I mean, to me, I'm looking at this situation, and just like you said a few minutes ago, it's not about the abortion in this scenario. Like, there are laws on the books. Whether you agree with it, like, I may be very pro-life, but look at the laws on the books. Are the laws on the books being held and being actually followed for this situation? And clearly they weren't. This is a parental rights issue, and I think it's an obvious issue. I mean, how many of these girls, how many 16, 17-year-old girls in Fairfax County have had abortions without their parents knowing about it and being, one of the most consequential things they may ever do in their lives? It's a pretty serious thing. It could be a dangerous procedure. It could be a serious procedure. How many of your daughters were doing this without ever telling mom and dad at home? How many did that happen to? Because I know for a fact that if there's two, there could be dozens. There could be 100. We don't know that. So to me, it really is a parental rights issue, and I think it's definitely a moment for for Winsome, and it's a moment for Youngkin to say, no, this isn't okay stuff. Plus, it wasn't just the other day we found out that the superintendent of Fairfax County is something making like $500,000 a year or something. So the Northern Virginia schools are a flashpoint. And, the interesting thing about this story was that the teachers were the ones that brought it to me. So the teachers want this done. They are, you're not hearing this from, third-hand accounts. This is from teachers in the school saying they're abusing these girls. This isn't okay. You can't do this. And that's what my thought is. This is a parental issue. You cannot take the rights of parents. These are conversations that should only be had with your child, with you and your parents. This is not something this school should be part of. And I think that's the simplest way to run this. And it definitely seems like an opening for me.
Yeah. And if you fear that a child in your class, talking to all the teachers out there, or someone in your neighborhood is being abused by their parents or threatened, go to the cops, go to child services. That's the way you do. You don't drive them to a medical procedure without telling some authorities, especially not their parents. Walter Kurt, thank you so much for joining us. Keep following the story on the WC Dispatch, and we'll see what happens. I know you're really following all the issues in Virginia. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Jake. Thanks for having me on.
All right, coming up, Emily Finn will join us to talk about a new focus on 34 sanctuary cities, municipalities. AG Pam Bondi isn't fooling around, folks. And not only is Cadillac not discontinuing this baby, it's going to keep making it in a very special place. More on that later in Moving America. American Sunrise Early Edition. We'll be right back.
He was only 47. Aneurysm. Did he have life insurance? Do you? No. You got to get on it. Check out SelectQuote. Trust me, the peace of mind is worth it.
Life insurance is too important to put off another day. That's why SelectQuote makes getting coverage you need easy, for less than $1 a day. Now get up to a $2 million policy with no medical exam and same-day coverage.
Visit or call SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
This right here is confidence in a bottle.
It makes me feel so much more confident than I've ever felt.
They are some of the hottest videos on social media. Those videos claiming to instantly get rid of bags under your eyes. Annette Figueroa is here to tell us why she says this one is for real.
This one is for real, and I'm so excited. We even have a video, and all he uses is a small amount on a clean, dry face. And what it does is it tightens and lifts the appearance of bags underneath your eyes. And I did this to my father. We were at home, so we applied it to his under eye bags, and let me tell you, we were so excited. In under 10 minutes, they visibly disappeared from view, and now it is literally part of both of our daily routines. And not only does it work on the bags, it works on the appearance of crow's feet, fine lines, and wrinkles.
At our $14.95 price, it's the best way to try Plexaderm and see it work after your first application. Call the number on your screen.
Call 1-800-854-0295.
Did you know that thousands of authors across the country have written books and published them with Page Publishing? If you've written a book, Page can help you through the process. We cut through the confusion of the publishing world to make it easy for you. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, we get you printed, distributed, and sold on Amazon, Apple iTunes, and bookstores. We'll even promote your book.
Call 1-800-319-0257. That's 1-800-319-0257.
This is a little bit of an interesting live shot I've got for you here in Warsaw, Poland. Of course, Poland, a very Catholic country. They are swearing in the new Polish president, a more conservative leader of that country. And, Poland, all these Eastern European countries have, I think, really started to stand out from the rest of Europe and the EU. They're stronger about borders. They're stronger about their relationship with the United States. Really feels like the future of Europe is in places like Poland, Estonia, Lithuania, on and on down the line. So that's a live shot there, and very, very Catholic country, Poland, to say the least. They were suppressed Catholicism when they were under the thumb of the Soviet Union, so they really do enjoy their freedoms there, their religious freedoms. Welcome back to American Sunrise Early Edition. I'm Jake Novak. Special welcome to those of you watching and commenting on the Getter and the Rumble apps, those platforms. Thank you so much. Hey, she's making a list. She's checking it twice. Okay, wrong holiday. But I'm talking about Pam Bondi, Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, who has released a list of 34 municipalities, not all cities. Some of them are counties. Some of them are entire states. And you guessed it, they are in blue cities. They are blue states. They are sanctuary cities. And Pam Bondi warning them, giving them a list, letting them know they're on the naughty list. They are going to be looked at. They might be sued. There may be some even criminal prosecutions because they're getting in the way of federal enforcement. Joining us now is Emily Finn, Real America's Voice contributor. Emily, this is, I hate to say this, and I've been talking about this for a while, this whole talk about a civil war in America, which 20 years ago, 10 years ago started, I was like, yeah, people are fighting, but I don't see how this plays itself out logistically. But if these cities continue to openly defy federal law, I'm sorry, this reminds me of the southern states not being willing to free the slaves. I'm sorry, it's federal law. You can't have illegal immigrants on your payroll in a city or putting them on the voter rolls, But this is going to be a nasty battle in the courts and hopefully, and maybe even on the streets.
Jake, I will say, sadly, the violence is already creeping into the streets with this in particular. DHS last month, they just released statistics saying that attacks on ICE are up 700% from last year. That is absolutely insane. We cannot let this happen in American cities. Thank God Pam Bondi is taking some action. She's making a list. Hopefully it doesn't hit her desk. I know that sometimes lists get missing from Pam Bondi's desk, but I think they're going to move forward with this and in the best way. Some of the worst of it, Los Angeles, Chicago. Jake, as you know, I was on the ground in Chicago reporting on some of the migrant shelters. So it's not even just the safety that we're taking into consideration here. It's the drain on taxpayers taxpayer resources. Nothing about this makes sense. We absolutely need to crack down on it. And I will say, I like that we started this segment with Poland because I just visited there, had an amazing trip, amazing opportunity, and I felt safer on the streets of Warsaw and Krakow than I have in many U.S. cities here. Chicago, for example, felt way safer in Poland than I did in Chicago because they are taking immigration seriously. They're taking crime seriously and really cracking down on it. So it's great to see that Pam Bondi is taking a play out of Poland's playbook here, Jake.
Yeah, and I left out Hungary, by the way, on the list of those countries that have really sort of trying to move Europe in a different direction. Emily, I love it when misconceptions or lies by the media, or not even lies necessarily by the left, but things that people think are true, are blown apart. I love when there's something that counterintuitive happens, or at least blows a myth apart. And I think that's what's happening right now in New Hampshire. New Hampshire is a blue state. Yes, those elections are very close every year, and there's some question about whether those elections are on the up and up. But still, you do not think of New Hampshire as some kind of southern red state with religious fanatics or anything else like that. But sure enough, they just expanded the eligibility for families to get into a school voucher program, and it's sold out, for lack of a better word. It got completely oversubscribed in a minute, gone, which just, again, proves that my feeling that the teachers' union's argument that vouchers programs are only for religious fanatics, people who want to take public money and put it into a church, school, or something like that, they're totally off. It's just not true.
It's just not true. And Jake, maybe that argument could have stood a little bit even when I was in grade school, when I was in high school. But with the state of the public school systems in this country right now, I totally understand why that voucher program in New Hampshire doubled. I mean, there are so many students on this wait list because parents feel like they need to take more control of their children's education. Schools are way more focused on DEI than they are on core curriculum. The United States is falling behind other countries in math, reading, science, because we're more focused on things that just simply aren't as important when it comes to education in our public schools. So I don't think, like you said, I don't think that this is a surprise at all, despite the narrative that the teachers' unions and the left is trying to push.
Yeah, Emily, I like an opportunity every once in a while to pull the curtain back on how the media works. And Germany's biggest newspaper, it's called Bild, B-I-L-D, has pulled the curtain back on all these phony pictures and phony videos that we're seeing out of Gaza. And they're basically saying this, Emily, that freelance photographers get paid a lot of money by these European newspapers or by CNN or MSNBC or the New York Times to publish a very sad-looking picture of supposed victims in Gaza. And that's why they're staging, including a cover of Time magazine just now, staging these pictures. Look, Emily, as well as I think this is something that the younger generation can tell us a little bit more about, because I'm worried about, forget about staging pictures, I'm worried about photoshopping and some of the other technology that you probably know a lot about better than I do. This is really a problem.
It absolutely is a problem, Jake. You could type into any kind of AI system and they can generate a photo for you that looks pretty convincing these days. I mean, these obviously are evil people. And when you stand for evil things, you participate in evil activities in order to support your cause. So it's really not surprising that they're using deception in this way. Hopefully journalists, this German newspaper are able to do some vetting, to do their due diligence to make sure that this doesn't happen. But, as we discussed with Photoshop, with AI, so many different advancements in technology, it's making it even more challenging to be able to do that due diligence. So you got to trust the sources that are there on the ground, Jake. That's the best advice that I could give, I suppose.
Yeah, and hopefully you get your names out there. These freelance photographers, they don't make their names that public. They get their paycheck, right, and that's what they do. Emily Finn, thanks for joining me. We see you every day at this time here on American Sunrise Early Edition. This is why you have to wake up earlier. Sorry, Emily, but the rest of us appreciate it, so thank you.
Love being here, Jake. Looking forward to tomorrow.
Okay. By the way, in the continued divide between President Trump and Federal Reserve Chairman Jay Powell, is that going to put us behind the curve again? Can the Fed take the right action at the right time, or are we just going to be looking at another potential economic slowdown? And what does this mean for your savings? Well, consider diversifying with gold through Birch Gold Group. For decades, gold has been viewed as a safe haven in times of economic stagnation, global uncertainty, and high inflation. And Birch Gold makes it incredibly easy for you to diversify some of your savings into gold. If you have an IRA or an old 401k, you can convert that into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold, or just buy some gold and keep it in your safe. First, get educated. Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on gold. Just text America to the number 989898. Again, text America to 989898. Consider diversifying a portion of your savings into gold. That way, if the Fed can't stay ahead of the curve for the country, at least you can stay ahead for yourself. Coming up, President Trump turns his attention back to Big Pharma and tries to provide a stick to get them to bring more crucial manufacturing to the United States. The details when American Sunrise Early Edition comes right back.
Is your body ready for summer?
We're gonna build a body you can be proud of. You just give me 30 minutes a day for 21 days, and I promise you, the weight will come off.
This is 21 Day Fix, the perfect program to get you summer ready.
I am in perfect shape for my bikini. I had that sexy little beef.
Get simple fitness, simple nutrition, fast results in just 21 days.
Get ready for summer with 21 Day Fix. This week, try it free at 21dayfix.com. That's 21dayfix.com.
Attention homeowners. Are you behind on your mortgage payments? Is the bank threatening to take your home? Is your home worth less than you owe? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you need to call this number right now.
Call 800-714-8615.
Kevin paid off over $12,000 in credit card debt with the help of Consolidated Credit. They cut his interest rates and lowered his payments so he could pay off his debt fast. Call 800-596-8062 for a free consultation.
Don't you hate that dirty old hose? It kinks, splits, and it always leaks. And it's way too heavy to carry around. It's time to get the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead. Just turn on the water and watch it grow to a full-size hose. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the new Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees. Just connect to the spigot and watch it pivot. And when you turn off the water, away it goes, shrinking back to a pocket-size hose. And it makes it easy to carry and put away. Call or go online now to get the super light 25-foot Pocket Hose Copperhead today for only $29.99. Order right now and get our 10-pattern thumb drive spray nozzle free. Simply use your thumb to turn it on or off. There is a strict limit of 3 per order, so don't wait. Order now.
To order, call 1-800-956-8517 or visit getcopperhead.com. So call 1-800-956-8517 or visit getcopperhead.com. Order now.
It's a live shot of the White House here as we come back here on American Sunrise Early Edition. Let's take a look at where the markets will begin today. And after yesterday's losses, looks like we're going to start on the upside, as you can see. Not a tremendous jump, but again, it's for the percentages that you need to look at even more than the raw numbers. And you see that gold is, again, still at that $3,400 per ounce mark. Pretty impressive. Crude oil back up a little bit. Let's take a look at Bitcoin and see if it's still in that lower window, and it is. It's at 114. So it's really been stuck at 114. I didn't even have a window for you. Just 114 is your number for the last few days. Hey, President Trump wants Big Pharma, which relies so heavily on the U.S. market for almost all of its profits, by the way. That's the foreign drug makers and the U.S. drug makers. He wants them to make more of their drugs here in the U.S. And that's why he says he is now planning on tariffs on pharmaceuticals that are imported into the U.S. that could eventually reach up to 250%. That would basically stop their business altogether unless they make some kind of other deal. Now, that would be the highest rate he's threatened on any industry, any country, 250%. That's their biggest number. Now, this isn't about just creating jobs and boosting the economy here in this country and reducing a trade deficit with countries like Switzerland, for example, that are big, that's a big pharma country. It's also about national security and ensuring the safety of drug manufacturing. There are a lot of Americans who simply won't move on if they don't have their prescription drugs. Let's just put it that way, and trying to be polite. And if we ever got into a war or there was some kinds of other problems with a country that's manufacturing the drugs, we'd have a huge problem. So we want to onshore as much essential drug manufacturing, not the stuff we don't need, but essential drug manufacturing here in the United States. And there are some countries that just don't enforce the kind of health and safety regulations that we have in this country for drug manufacturing. So we want that to stay safe. So this is about more than just trade. With all of these tariff fights and things like that with President Trump, you have to remember it's more than just about economics. There's usually a political or a national security reason for it, and you have to take the whole pie into consideration. President Trump is also speaking out about the big banks that basically debanked him and some of his closest associates right after he left office the first time in 2021, talking about big banks like JP Morgan Chase, Chase Bank, or Bank of America. He talked about how they would not let him put in a certain amount of money in some of these banks. Some of it was for campaign stuff. Some of it was for personal finance. And of course, President Trump wasn't alone with this. We've had a lot of stories here on Real America's Voice from patriots who had small businesses or even their own personal banking, and they were told their business was no longer welcome at a particular bank. Well, President Trump isn't just talking about it. They are working in the Trump administration on new regulations that will get these banks to, if they try to do this, they will be facing very, very clear punishments. Again, it's always been against the law, frankly. But if you have an administration that's looking the other way, like maybe the Biden administration was, they feel like they can get away with it. So they're working on an executive order that President Trump will sign. The Wall Street Journal had a look at it, and it directs bank regulators to investigate whether any financial institutions may have violated an existing law already. It's called the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, antitrust laws, that kind of stuff. And now that there's an executive order in the works, maybe this will stop. I think it's still going on at some banks, even though President Trump was, of course, reelected. Okay, now from the latest from the fast food world. Spoiler alert, tacos are the king. Now, Yum Brands, that's the company that owns KFC, Taco Bell, and Pizza Hut, announced disappointing results for the middle quarter of this year. People are looking for even cheaper options when it comes to fast food. But guess which division of Yum Brands did actually still do well? Yes, it was Taco Bell. They had a 4% increase in sales. Taco Bell, of the three that I just mentioned, is the cheapest. So that's what's going on there. And again, I talked about this last week with Domino's Pizza. Domino's is also a very cheap option, even compared to McDonald's. So within the fast food space, you've got to get cheaper and less fancy, frankly. Taco Bell's the winner. Domino's is the winner. That's where we're going in fast food right now. Hey, whatever you like is, I assume that your taste buds are going to be your major deciding factor. But if you can save money from one over the other, I guess you'll consider it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, start your engines. It's Moving America, sponsored by Artillery Tea Company, artilleryteaco.com. Use promo code RAV for 10% off your first order. Artillery Tea is all natural, whole leaf. The tea bags are chemical free, and each tea bag can be used twice. Artillery Tea Company is family and veteran owned and operated, and a portion of your purchase goes to help veteran and first responder charities. Artilleryteaco.com, promo code RAV for 10% off your first order. Hey, are you a fan of the snazzy Cadillac XT5 SUV? Well, I have some good news for you, and I have some better news for you. Now, GM now says the XT5 will not be discontinued after the 26 model year after all. There will be a 2027 model. Second, the XT5 will see increased production at the Spring Hill, Tennessee plant. That is a win-win-win all the way around. If you like this car, if you don't like this car, then be happy for your fellow Americans working at that plant. Hey, I'm going to be honest. When I see motorcycle riders lane splitting on the highway or creeping up ahead of me at a red light, I get a little annoyed. Frankly, I'm worried I'm going to hit them, or I'm not going to see them when I start to accelerate. But hey, the state of Minnesota says go ahead, have at it. Lane splitting in Minnesota is now legal again. However, there's one caveat. It has to be slow-moving traffic or traffic jam. If traffic is moving at 25 miles an hour or faster, you can't lane split if you're a motorcycle. But if it's in a dead stop, they're allowing this. And if you're at a red light that has a lot of congestion, you can do it as well. Actually, there's a big argument for this. It basically creates an extra lane of traffic. Just be a little bit more vigilant if you're a driver, even if they're not lane splitting. Remember, be aware of the cyclists out there, the bikers out there. Drive safe. Hey, a 2026 Chevrolet Silverado EV just broke the record for longest EV range on a single charge. The Silverado work truck with the biggest available battery covered 1059.2 miles, more than twice the truck's 493-mile EPA estimated range. Okay, but there's one catch. The truck went kind of slow, okay, very slow at some points. This truck, by the way, that I'm showing you here, lists for $76,900 MSRP. All right. And now for our daily miracle, or at least I like to see a daily miracle. This is McLaren. This is a McLaren 720S that crashed into a guardrail in Munich on Saturday. The 61-year-old driver was navigating the overpass connecting the A8 highway in Munich to the A995 near Munich. That's the German state of Bavaria, by the way. According to the highway police in Germany, the vehicle, I love the diplomatic way they say this, the vehicle entered the curve at what they described as a, quote, inappropriate speed, given the rainy conditions at the time. Okay, the reason why I'm laughing at this, the driver walked away pretty much unharmed, a couple of scratches. The McLaren, not so much. But I'm sure the driver is happy the car died and not him, I think. That's a miracle this guy walked away. Coming up, now that the grand jury process is starting in the Russia collusion hoax investigation, what can we expect from it? Who is liable to be charged? We'll try to get you some of those answers when American Sunrise Early Edition returns.
How many times have you tried to clean a stubborn mess but end up with no success? What you need is the all-new waterproof Ruby Horsepower, the new cordless and rechargeable power scrubber that cleans faster and easier, guaranteed. Watch, baked on oven grease is no match. It easily blasts away dirt and grime in no time. The power comes from our rotating brushes spinning at 350 RPM. The incredible torque fights calcium, soap, mildew, mold, and more. Forget harsh chemicals. With just plain water, Horsepower can clean bathroom tiles and tubs back to their original shine and luster. It's a game changer in the kitchen, where it busts through caked-on crud. Take it outside and tackle tough tasks with ease. How strong is Horsepower? We took this distressed 100-year-old antique and restored it to like new with Horsepower. Amazing! Get your Ruby Horsepower scrubber today with bonus scouring sponge for just $39.99. Save on buying batteries. It's powered with the latest rechargeable technology. But wait, you'll also get this stainless steel brush to make range hoods and gas stoves look brand new again. Yours free. And we're not done. You'll get this Smart Flex cone brush that fits perfectly into corners, tiny crevices on toilets and tiles, or hard to reach shower door rails. Yours free. And to top it off, we'll include this microfiber cloth to clean delicate surfaces and polish cars sparkling clean. It's also free. Great news! Horsepower is now in stock and ready to ship, but due to high demand, there is a strict limit of 2 per order. Order now.
Call 1-800-953-8622. That's 1-800-953-8622 or visit horsepowerscrubber.com. So call 1-800-953-8622 now.
It's Wednesday, August 6th. Here are today's top stories. Perhaps we're finally getting closer to learning the truth about the Jeffrey Epstein case. A House committee subpoenas tons of big names from Bill and Hillary Clinton to former FBI directors and more. Meanwhile, the Justice Department may release the audio tapes of its interview with Ghislaine Maxwell. The Justice Department gets even more serious about sanctuary cities and states, listing the names of 34 jurisdictions in violation of federal immigration laws, and they're now on track to get sued. President Trump says he and some of his supporters were deliberately debanked by the biggest financial institutions in 2021, and now the Trump team is working to see that that never happens again to anyone simply because of their political leanings. And who says school vouchers are just for southern red states? New Hampshire's newly expanded school voucher program sold out in a flash. American Sunrise Early Edition continues now. Welcome back to this Wednesday here in American Sunrise Early Edition. Special welcome again to those of you jumping on the Getter and Rumble apps, watching us and commenting there. And of all those big stories this morning, we've covered all of them already, but there's also another big story. I still think the biggest story in America right now, which is the Russiagate collusion hoax investigation, looking to finally get the truth about this out to the American public, and now maybe punishing the people who more than just did things to hurt the Trump campaign and President Trump personally. That's one thing. But when you consider the cultural and social price that we have paid because of this collusion hoax, I mean, I don't know how you even adequately punish some of these people. But let's talk about what we can expect, because joining me now is the founder and the publisher of the National File, Noel Fritsch. And Noel, I wonder how gratified, but also hopeful, and maybe even still a little bit edgy, Americans should be by the news. Again, I think the biggest story this week, that there's going to be this grand jury convened to look into some of these alleged criminals here. And what can we expect from it? What are you expecting from it?
Well, it's certainly a positive step in the right direction. But I'm here to tell you that, unfortunately, a Florida grand jury is not where we need to be looking for all of our solutions. You guys were just talking about Pam Bondi and Ghislaine Maxwell and the Epstein thing. It's very interesting that this whole Russia collusion teed back up about 2 or 3 weeks ago at the height of that whole Epstein thing, which, there was a lot of pushback against. And Mrs. Bondi herself, the former attorney general down in Florida, was exactly the person who spiked the momentum in that Epstein progress. And now we're to believe that we're going to get progress in the Epstein case over in Congress with congressional subpoenas. Look, all of your viewers watching right now, they are desperate for solutions. They are desperate for something to get fixed. They are desperate for some comeuppance, some consequences for some of these guys, these criminals. They're criminals from the Obama administration, okay, that perpetrated this Russia collusion hoax. It's really key, however, to remember the Russian collusion hoax began with Republicans. Bill Kristol from the failed Bulwark, the failed Weekly Standard. He's a failed neocon, okay? And the party is moving in a different direction from those Republicans. He handed the football off to Hillary during the 2016 election, and they kept this Russia collusion hoax going for now almost a decade. And here we are. We still haven't seen any consequences for all of these criminals. And it's just really important to remember that Russian collusion hoax was perpetrated and perpetuated by the Republicans in the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, Burr, the Judicial Committee in the Senate, Lindsey Graham. They all provided cover and allowed that Russia collusion hoax narrative to persist, which destroyed 2017 and 2018, the first 2 years of the first Trump administration. And now here we are in the first year of the second Trump administration in 2025. And now here we are back to all of this nonsense again. And what is Congress doing? Congress is going on recess. Not just going on recess. And you guys might have covered this. There is a big scandal going on with Congress right now. They are actively thwarting Trump's nominees. And we've talked about that. I think you guys have talked about that on this network. And so, look, it's your viewers are desperate for solutions. The American people are desperate for solutions. Here's what has to happen. Congress has to begin to feel pain, okay? And not just Congress, the DOJ, not Florida, okay? There has to be federal charges for, I think a lot of your viewers will agree, we're looking at the true insurrection with the Russia collusion hoax. We're looking at the true insurrection with the 2020 theft of that election. Okay, that's insurrection. That is treason. And oh, by the way, the elephant in the room that nobody's talking about anymore, the crimes against humanity perpetrated on the American people during COVID, which was a big part of that theft of that 2020 election, which gave Joe Biden 4 more years to try to basically destroy America. And we're trying to get this thing back on track. But Congress is standing in the way. That is an accurate picture of what's going on. And we need fast. There needs to be more than just a special counsel. There needs to be more than just a Florida grand jury. There needs to be, dare I say it, a Nuremberg 2.0 type of scenario where we have military tribunals that look to exact punishment and consequences on those who sought to run a coup on the soil here in the United States of America.
Let me ask you about one person you might have a different opinion about, and that's Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence. She's come out and said, in some ways like you have, that Barack Obama needs to be criminally charged. What are your feelings about her? Do you have more confidence in her and how she's played, or is she done? Has she released the information and now it's out of her hands?
She's absolutely correct. And it's not just him. They're, again, the swamp's deep. I mean, Strzok and Page and Brennan and Comey, and you guys know all the names, right? I mean, the guy over there on Fox has been saying Russia, Russia, Russia for 8-9 years now, every day, and BleachBit and all that stuff. So, look, we know who they are, but she's exactly correct. We absolutely need to see criminal charges. And just because Obama was the president doesn't mean that he cannot be prosecuted for crimes. That's the notion that now this is a gentleman's agreement that a lot of these presidents have had throughout the ages not to prosecute one another. You know, that's why they basically let Nixon leave. You know, they were just desperate to hang anything they could on him, and they forced him to go. I think now we're looking at a different era. We need to, if we're going, we need some evasive maneuvers. If we're going to fix this republic, there have to be some consequences for these criminals. And it's not just enough to kind of pretend for the cameras and then move on. There have to be some serious consequences.
Yeah, you know, lastly, I want to talk about, because, you talked about this from a government point of view, and I just want everyone to be reminded of how far this conspiracy went as far as pushing this lie. This is why I'm going to show a clip of just how this got into the entertainment media, the so-called entertainment media. They got in on this hoax, and I want everyone to watch this just so they understand how pervasive this hoax was. This is former FBI Director James Comey on the Stephen Colbert Show back in 2018, about to say something that he knows 100% isn't true. Watch this.
You went in January of 2017 to tell President Trump about the Steele dossier. How did you tell him that there was and I want to put this delicately, pee-pee tape? How did you tell him about that rumor?
I spoke about information, unverified, that related to an allegation that he was with prostitutes in a hotel in Moscow and that the Russians had videotaped it.
Now, the reason why I showed this is to let people know that even late night comedy was in on this. I mean, we can talk about Colbert another time, but my point is, this is why I think, some of the people might have heard what you said about tribunals, like, oh, that's too severe. But I don't know. This really is still very pervasive. I think there's still a large percentage of Americans, because of the fact that it got onto entertainment media, who still believe all this bunk.
Well, again, look at what all this stuff was used to create. It was all used to perpetuate, just hobble the Trump administration, make sure nothing got done, and then again, steal his reelect in 20. And then along with it, they ushered in a massive global pandemic, which we still don't know the answer to it. I mean, there was arguments about the bat soup, and then there's arguments about the lab leak, and was it China? But we know that it started here on U.S. soil, and not too far from me at my alma mater, UNC Chapel Hill. And look, these many, like hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people died because of COVID in an attempt for these people to run a coup on the United States of America, the most powerful country on the planet, the biggest force for good on the planet, so that they could take it over for a whole bunch of commies. Okay. I mean, everybody knows it's really important to put all of this into context, and your average, I guarantee, poll this stuff. Rasmussen's doing some great polling out there with a lot of this stuff. Your average mom going to the grocery store and trying to raise her kids and get her kids to school, they're ready for the gallows. They're ready for guillotines. They're ready for Nuremberg. They are ready for some accountability.
Yeah, well, again, on a positive note, think about there were so many Americans who didn't buy into this. And even here in New York, for example, my local school board, my local principal, one of my kids was in high school at the time, didn't fall for it, kept things open. I mean, again, it doesn't mean that I don't want accountability for the people who didn't do that, but I feel very, very lucky. Noel Frisch, thank you so much for joining us. We'll have you back on again real soon. Have a great rest of your week.
Thank you all.
Coming up, the descendant of one of Germany's biggest Holocaust war criminals is joining another anti-Israel stunt. And doesn't that just explain everything? David Brody and I will discuss when American Sunrise Early Edition comes right back.
He was only 47. Aneurysm. Did he have life insurance? Do you? No. You got to get on it. Check out SelectQuote. Trust me, the peace of mind, it's worth it.
Life insurance is too important to put off another day. That's why SelectQuote makes getting coverage you need easy for less than $1 a day. Now get up to a $2 million policy with no medical exam and same-day coverage.
Do you suffer in pain? Are you stiff, tense, or less active than before? Introducing the EasyWell Remedy Massage System that combines the incredible effects of vibrational therapy, targeted deep tissue shiatsu massage, plus soothing infrared heat. A triple fusion of therapeutic experiences. Full body vibrational therapy increases blood circulation and reduces inflammation. Look at these beads moving from the powerful vibrational motors.
It's like 1,000 little fingers just vibrating my body from head to toe.
Infrared heat penetrates deep to reduce pain, soothe, and relax.
Remedy gets in there and helps deal with the source of the pain, so you feel much better.
The Ultra Shiatsu pillow with 6 infrared heated nodes mimics a professional massage. Plus, it's detachable for deep relief anywhere you need it.
It's just something that you're gonna have to feel for yourself.
Experience the true remedy for your pain and stiffness. Call now.
Hi, Chef Daniel Green here with Rice Robot, the 1, 2, 3 rice cooker. Watch, 1 add the white cup for rice, 2 add the blue cup for water, 3 click it and let Rice Robot perfectly cook it.
The secret is perfect cook technology for even cooking. Then Rice Robot senses when it's done, auto stops and keeps it warm to serve.
It won't burn, overcook or undercook, guaranteed.
Get the complete Rice Robot cooking system, all for just $39.99. Order now.
Welcome back to American Sunrise Early Edition. A little bit of a breeze there at the White House. That lovely flagpole that President Trump paid for and installed in the front and the back. That's a lovely shot, but I am about to tell you a story that isn't so lovely. It's almost too horrific to tell you, but I got to do it. It's also too important to ignore. There's a German woman. Her name is Marlene Engelhorn. She inherited $27.1 million from her family's fortune. Sounds nice, right? But here's how her family made that fortune. They were the folks who, during World War II, came up with the cyanide-based poison gas Zyklon B. I know it's a little early in the morning for this, but that was the gas that was used in the death camps to kill millions of people, mostly Jews, also a few other people, dissidents. Some Catholic dissidents, by the way, were also killed in the camps. But what is Marlene up to these days? Well, naturally, she's a big anti-Israel activist, and she's going to be joining one of those so-called flotillas to Gaza, like the one that Greta Thunberg went on, so she could take a bunch of selfies. David Brody's with us right now. Here's something I want to talk about. This isn't just a case of heredity and someone having a family that's been anti-Semitic for a long time. That's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is this. Europe, and even the people who were not alive at the time of World War II, there is a major guilt cloud hanging over Europe, and rightfully so, for the basically inaction of most of Europe. There are some exceptions, by the way, of course, but the inaction of most of Europe while the Holocaust was going on. And so it's very important for them, David, for some of these people, to try to pretend that Israelis are also basically just like Nazis, so they can say to themselves, you see, everyone's a killer, everyone's a murderer, I don't need to feel guilty anymore. This has been a part of the ethos of Europe for 80 years, in my opinion. It's one of the reasons why they push back, not only on Israel, but also the United States, because the United States still believes, at least most of us, still believe in right and wrong. Europe wants a world where they don't have to ever be held accountable for their inaction. That's my take on this. I wonder what you think.
Jake, such a great point, and why this is such a smart show every single morning, 7 a.m. Eastern, by the way. Look, here's the thing. We've heard so much about moral equivalency. How about immoral equivalency? I mean, right, this is what they're doing. I mean, this is the whole idea of what you're talking about, which is like, look, yeah, the genocide back then, okay, so I'll tell you what, let's talk about genocide today and play out the equivalency card, if you will. And I think that's a big part of this. I will say a couple of things. You would think this woman who inherited all this money based on the gas and the Nazis and all of this, you would think that maybe she could, I don't know,
maybe turn a new page, new chapter in her life and maybe support Israel here? No, of course not. That would be the easy play and the moral play. And of course, that's not happening. So she's got to get on this flotilla and do all of the selfies as you spoke about. I will say I do think there's another factor. And of course, you're making a theory here, and it's an excellent one. I think there's some other factors at play here. We can't discount the Muslim influence in Europe that has come over. France, right? 10% of the population Muslim there. We know they have issues as it relates to the Muslim influx, as it relates to immigration. The UK, we've talked about that for a while. Germany has 5.5 million Muslims as well. So look, the Muslim influence in Europe, I think, is part of this as well. Once again, two things can be right at the same time, and I think you're definitely on the right track for sure, Jake.
You know, there's another guilt factor here also. You know, you talk about these large Muslim populations in European countries, but those are just numbers. They are not being integrated into society very well. Now, some of that is on them. Some of them is on those communities themselves, but it's also the Europeans themselves who are saying basically, well, I don't want them to succeed economically or have a better education. That's too much of a heavy lift. I'll tell you what, maybe I'll just support some of their hate. Maybe I'll just support some of their political nonsense, and then that'll look like I actually care about them. I mean, if you're a Muslim person watching this who's living in Europe or knows about the European situation, and you think that these Europeans, native-born Europeans, are on your side just because they're joining into some kind of anti-Semitism, which you may or may not hold yourself, think again. This is not support. This is not friendship, is it?
No, and speaking of thinking, I know we got to run, but could we have a few free thinkers out there in Europe at some of the states, or excuse me, the countries that are, or excuse me, the leaders that are running these countries? Give me a break. I mean, the United Nations is in bed with Hamas and preventing much of this humanitarian aid from getting through to Gaza, but no, they can't have that discussion at all.
Yeah, that's why I'm hopeful for countries like Hungary and Poland, like we talked about earlier in this hour. I'm Jake Novak. Early Edition comes back tomorrow. Stay tuned for the big show, American Sunrise.
American Sunrise is a great way to start your morning. Join us Monday through Friday from 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We've got the news of the day and some compelling interviews that you don't want to miss. Here's what you missed from yesterday.
The left continues to call President Trump and his administration fascists and Nazis and tyrannical dictators and all the rest, while we're looking back at what, and this isn't the only case, is it, David? Because we have governors of states that are Democrats doing this kind of things. We have mayors of large cities that have been Democrat run forever doing the same kind of things. They don't understand that it takes a large centralized government to maintain tyranny.
This really, I guess, continuation of a relationship that has been going back and forth, and obviously buying the Russian oil and selling it for substantially more on the open market is something that President Trump has frowned upon. So we'll see exactly what that new tariff rate looks like.
Good morning, David, from the port of entry of El Chaparral. And just to reinforce what Kristi Noem just said, we are located at a place, let me get out of the camera, where thousands of migrants used to be here at 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, waiting for asylum to enter the United States of America. This is not happening anymore. You can see actually behind me that there is nobody here. This actually tells you the level of control of the policies of the Trump administration, making people understand that you need to enter to a regular port of entry. And ultimately, the trafficking has slowed down massively, not only in Tijuana, but all states that connect to the United States of America.
Stop playing nice. Stop being kind. Politics is a contact sport. Do what has to be done. I am damn well with Texas. Do what needs to be done because they are cheating every step of the way. Gavin Newsom cheats. J.B. Pritzker cheats. Hochul cheats in New York. They all cheat. And it's all political. And you know what? They've got the political tools to do it, so go ahead and do it, because we are currently looking at a Congress that should have a 25-seat majority for Republicans. Because of the cheating in California and Illinois and New York and Massachusetts means that the Republicans, I mean, you look back, Republicans had a 35-seat advantage the last time they had a 1% win in the popular vote for president. Now it's 5 seats. Oh, and Democrats want to argue about gerrymandering when they're the masters of playing this game? The only thing they don't like about gerrymandering is when a state that is red decides to do it. Everything else has always been just fine with them. it makes them angry when the Republicans go, oh, we're going to use your playbook. That's the only thing that makes them mad, is they're getting beat at their own game, and they don't like it. What's good for the goose?
When surprise breakdowns happen, American Home Shield will be there to fix or replace parts of the systems and appliances you rely on every day. They help protect your time and money by connecting you with qualified pros and helping pay for covered repairs or replacements. AHS offers flexible and affordable plans for every home. Sign up today and get 50% off. Visit ahs.com or call 833-PLAN-AHS for this limited time offer.
Why aren't you getting results? Random workouts, overtraining muscles, completely missing others, wasted time. Don't do that. Do this. This is 25 Minute Speed Train. Follow me for just 25 minutes a day, 7 days a week, with minimal equipment, and get actual results.
Look at the definition. I didn't have these arms at high school.
Subscribe to Body in the next 24 hours for less than 50 cents a day and get 25 Minute Speed Train free at bodywithaneye.com.
Who wants to drag out a bulky vacuum? Introducing Horsepower Duck, a super compact vac with ultra-powerful suction. Clean up that mess in the kitchen, the spill on the sofa, even sawdust in the workshop. Just duck it up. The compact design can reach the tightest places, so store it in any drawer where it's always at your fingertips. You can even store it in your glove box for the ultimate car vac. The HEPA filter helps remove dust and allergens. Plus, it dumps out with ease, so it's ready to clean again. Get the Horsepower Duck handbag for just $39.99. Order right now and we'll upgrade you to the Duck Pro package, a $30 value, yours free. You get the bendable tube, the crevice nozzle, and the soft brush nozzle, but supplies are limited, so there's a strict limit of 3 ducks per order. This may be your last chance to get yours at this low price, so don't delay. Duck it up today.
Call 1-800-693-3440 or visit duckback.com. So call 1-800-693-3440 or visit duckback.com.
Just ahead on American Sunrise, the House Oversight Committee issued several subpoenas for records and testimony regarding Jeffrey Epstein. What can we uncover and learn from it? Take a closer look. Plus, President Trump chose an interesting location for a press gaggle. It was the White House roof. We have some highlights. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is going to propose a plan to occupy all of Gaza. How will this play out? We have these stories, so much more, as American Sunrise starts right now.
Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
we have breaking news to share with you.
Politics.
President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
We've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrance.
And I'm Dr. Gina. Good morning, I'm Dr. G. We are live with you from the Palm Beaches. Let's bring in David Brody. He's in Washington, D.C. And T. Bates, are you there? Paging to Terrance Bates. Are you there?
I'm here.
All right.
I'm here.
All right.
I'm here, Dr. Gina.
Well, it's good to have you guys this morning. It's good to be, is it a Wednesday or is it a Thursday? I can't even know what day of the week it is.
It all rolls together.
Just Wednesday. All right. Let's Wednesday. Made it halfway through, guys.
Yeah, we're almost there. Hey, guys, some interesting stories this morning, and one of the ones I want to focus on is President Trump basically tapping J.D. Vance, his vice president, to be the next president of the United States, or at very least to take the mantle of MAGA. He also kind of proposed a J.D. Vance Marco Rubio ticket. I'm not so sure it's a full endorsement, but it's definitely fodder for talk. Here it is. Here's the president himself.
Trump, nice to see you got off the roof all right.
Yeah.
You said this morning that you probably won't be running for a third term. This weekend, Secretary of State Rubio said that he thought J.D. Vance would be a great nominee. You could clear the entire Republican field right now. Do you agree that the heir apparent to MAGA is J.D. Vance?
Well, I think most likely, in all fairness, he's the vice president. I think Marco is also somebody that maybe would get together with J.D. in some form. I also think we have incredible people, some of the people on the stage right here. So it's too early, obviously, to talk about it, but certainly he's doing a great job, and he would be probably favored at this point.
All right, Gina and David, not necessarily an endorsement, but kind of an endorsement, I think. David, what do you make of it?
I think it's something we've said all along. We always like to say Trump is right about X, Y, and Z. I think Trump's right here. I think it's the Vance-Rubio ticket. I know we're getting way ahead of ourselves, and there's things can change. I don't know. Let me think in 24 hours. But at this point, Vance-Rubio makes sense. I think Gavin Newsom, Wes Moore on the Democrat side makes sense. I think that could be potentially a matchup. So save the 3/4-inch beta tape on this one. But Gina, what do you think?
I just think it's early, and I think it's up to MAGA, and I think they'll watch and make up their minds. I think there are so many incredible. The bench on the conservative side of politics is deep, 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 and I think it's going to be. I'm nervous about the midterms, just because so much could go wrong, especially with the whole budget and all of that. I still think we'll be fine, but I'm nervous about it. But I'll tell you what, when I look down the road to 2028, I think it's blue skies. I'm not saying it's going to be easy by any stretch. We have to all stay involved. We have to all stay activated and motivated. But I will say that I just think we have so many great people out there. I just hope it's somebody really great. I hope there are no deep state ties. I hope we can really eradicate the deep state under the Trump administration, and then that whoever we put in there will follow through on all of that.
Yeah.
Someone else take this, because I'm getting ready to choke. I can just tell.
T. Bates, take it away.
Okay, you want me to take it away?
Wait, are we arguing about the Bible verse? Is that what we're doing here?
I think we are.
How does that happen?
Scissors for it, David. There you go.
All right,
I'll go ahead and take it then, David. All right. Let's check out today's Bible verse, folks. It's from Habakkuk 3:17 through 19. It reads, "Though the fig tree may not blossom, nor fruit be on the vines, though the labor of the olive may fail, and the fields yield no food, though the flock may be cut off from the fold, and there be no herd in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will joy in the God of my salvation. The Lord God is my strength. He will make my feet like deer's feet, and he will make me walk on my high hills." As Dr. Gina would say, it's a beautiful verse. All right, Dr. Gina, are you up for this?
For it. Here we go. All right. Thank you, Terrance. Sometimes a girl just has to cough. All right. The Justice Department is reportedly weighing the release of interviews that officials had with Ghislaine Maxwell. Maxwell sat down with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche last month in Florida. Maxwell was then moved to a minimum security prison in Texas. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer issued subpoenas for both Hillary and Bill Clinton for testimony on Jeffrey Epstein. Comer also sent subpoenas to the Justice Department for records. Others getting subpoenas were former FBI directors Robert Mueller and James Comey, along with former attorneys General Loretta Lynch, Eric Holder, among others. And I just want to take one moment before I bring in our guest and say to this audience, do you know how hard you've worked for this? Do you know how much of this you are responsible for? Once in a while, it just occurs to me how hard this audience in particular has worked for victories that we are seeing, however small, not complete. I get it. You want arrests, you don't want investigations, but I'm just saying, this is all you. For more, let's bring in GOP strategist and host of the 13-Minute News Hour, Bobby Everly. Bobby, Democrats have been calling for transparency on this issue, right alongside MAGA. Shouldn't they be willing to comply now?
Well, yeah, and I've got to give a big amen to you, Dr. Gina, because this is exactly what I've been saying, on other networks and on my show, that we've pushed the MAGA base pushed for this when it seemed like the administration wanted to move off Epstein and even said to move on from Epstein. It was the base that was saying, hey, look, this means a lot. This is a case that was talked about. This was a case that was promised, but it reveals or it epitomizes larger issues, such as protecting children, such as rooting out the deep state and the powerful over the regular people of America. It represents all of that. So to go forward with it and to issue these subpoenas and dig deeper, I think is just a blessing. It's something that is needed to restore our faith in government.
Bobby, President Trump is continuing to be out of the box, think out of the box, and do things that are unconventional. Specifically, he held a press gaggle on the roof of the White House. Check this out.
4 ways to spend my money. Can you give us another thing? Well, we'll show you. It's just another way to spend my money for the country. Anything I do is financed by me, so in other words, contributed. Just like my salary is contributed, but nobody ever mentions that. Oh, are you going to add another medal? What else? What do you want to build? What are you trying to build? What? Sir, do you approve? Say more missiles? Are you building missiles? What? Come on, Dad.
Wow. I'm not so sure I know what that means, but
that was the missiles. That was the missiles.
Was that the missiles firing?
Yeah, but the leftist media wants to say that he was doing some sort of stupid salute, if you know what I'm saying.
Did they really say that, David?
Oh,
yes, they did. It's all over. It's all over the media. Yes,
they've already
everywhere.
said that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they say he was doing some unusual salute. What was that? Oh my God. Anyhow, sorry.
My gosh. All right, let's focus on some real substance. Obviously, it was unique, but one of the things that ultimately was talked about is President Trump, to some degree, I don't even know if it's an endorsement, but talking about that J.D. Vance may be the heir apparent. Your thoughts on that, and what do you take from kind of that unusual appearance? You know, he engages differently, I think, than any president we've really seen in the modern era, for sure.
Well, yeah, exactly. And there's a couple of things that come to mind. One is this is Trump in his second term getting a chance to be Trump, the developer, the real estate guy. You know, whenever you see old footage of him touring a building, I mean, he's there, he's on site, he's proud of what he is building. So I always thought that part of his legacy for him is to do something with the White House, to do something to add to it. There's a lasting legacy there. This new ballroom, there's been some drawings that it just looks magnificent. And that's just part of what he wants to do. So that's one thing. Two, I think getting on the roof, he's just trolling. He's just looking for anything he does upsets people. So maybe he was hoping a few reporters might fall off or something. But you know, he throws these things out. I think it was a great little move there, a great little opportunity for the press. But again, it highlights him wanting to do some lasting improvements to the White House, which I think is totally Trump.
Yeah, he is one of a kind, and that is 72 bold font. I don't think there's any question about it. We're never going to see that type, someone like him again.
That's right.
So just a quick little 10-second story on that. I was actually in D.C. yesterday taking some family around. We went to the White House. I wanted to show them the White House. They've never been. So I said, okay, here, you just go right up to the gate here, and you can see and it's like, wait a minute. It was all roped off. It was closed. You couldn't get anywhere near. And I'm like, what's going on? Then I looked on X and I said, oh, he's on the roof. Great. Okay. The one day he's on the roof.
Right.
They couldn't get close because of it. Hey, one last thing, Bobby. The New York Post headline says this, MTG souring on the Republican Party. She's claiming the GOP has turned its back on America first. And she had this quote where she said, I don't know if the Republican Party is leaving me or if I'm kind of not relating to the Republican Party as much anymore. So I'm curious what you get your take on this, because obviously she's at odds over the bombing of Iran. The president's pivoting towards Ukraine a little bit more. Israel's war in the Gaza Strip, she labeled a genocide. So this feels like more of that isolationist wing of the party, which she even admits, call me whatever you want, isolationist or not. But I think this is part of the schism going forward.
Yeah, and I think it's something to watch out for, too. I mean, I've been watching MTG's posts on X, and the last 6 months or something, I've gravitated toward it, and there's a lot of things that she's saying that to me are right on. And again, there's this part of the MAGA base that you said, no foreign involvements or reduced foreign involvements. He was very pro on the not giving aid to Ukraine, and now we seem to be giving more aid to Ukraine. Now we're talking about occupying Gaza, which was never part of the plan. And again, and even some of these statements when we were talking about possible amnesty, and they said the right wing of the party might be upset. Well, no, that's the MAGA base. We want people deported. So there's a few issues that are coming out that just seem counter to the America First agenda, putting us first, putting our taxpayer money toward programs for Americans, whether that means, with the border and getting rid of illegals, or keeping money in the country rather than to Ukraine or Israel or any other country. So I can see her point for sure, and I agree with a lot of it, actually.
The great thing about this, Bobby, is that the left loves to call us sycophants for Trump, right? But I think people that they would have first labeled would have been people like you and people like MTG and others who have absolutely stood up for what they believe in, because they are independent thinkers. This was never a sycophantic situation. And I love that about the MAGA movement. I love that it is what it is and that no one controls it, and that these people are independent, fierce, freedom fighter, America first, and that's not going to end. And it doesn't matter. They love President Trump. No one can deny he's a great president. But they're going to hold him accountable for what he said he believed when he was running. And I just find the whole thing a fascinating collective psychology. Bobby Everly, thanks for pointing to that, and thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bobby.
Coming up, we check out the hottest headlines from the Rap Newsroom with T. Bates. And later, some House Democrats are calling on the Trump administration to recognize a Palestinian state. How is this going to play in Arab states? We have the answers ahead here on American Sunrise.
US Med, a trusted supplier of diabetes equipment for nearly 30 years, has great news for people living with diabetes and the pain of regular testing. New Medicare and private insurance guidelines have expanded coverage for continuous glucose monitors, even for people not using insulin. The days of repeated, painful finger sticks are over. Now you can wear a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, and eliminate routine finger sticks. US Med has the newest models of CGM, which are more accurate and convenient than ever. CGMs are shown to lower your A1C, increase your time in range, and reduce the risk of hypoglycemic events. Shipping is free, and we'll even bill your insurer directly. Don't spend one more painful day testing your blood sugar. Call now to get your continuous glucose monitoring system so you can take control of your diabetes and get back to enjoying life.
Call US Med now.
How many times have you tried to clean a stubborn mess but end up with no success? What you need is the all-new waterproof Ruby Horsepower, the new cordless and rechargeable power scrubber that cleans faster and easier, guaranteed. Watch, baked on oven grease is no match. It blasts away dirt and grime in no time. The power comes from our rotating brushes, spinning at 350 RPM. The incredible torque fights calcium, mildew, mold, and more. Take it in the kitchen, where it busts through caked-on crud, or outside and tackle tough tasks with ease. Get your Ruby Horsepower with 4 additional attachments, all for just $39.99. Great news! They're in stock and ready to ship. Due to high demand, only 2 per order. Order now.
Call 1-800-944-4512. That's 1-800-944-4512. Or visit horsepowerscrubber.com. So call 1-800-944-4512 now.
This news break is brought to you by AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens.
Yeah, it's the White House. I don't see Trump on the roof. You would think it's not going to be 2 days in a row on the roof. Now, I do see Hunter on the balcony. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. That was from a few years ago. Welcome back, everybody, to American Sunrise. I'm David Brody. Coming up, Benjamin Netanyahu talking tough, saying I'm not playing around in Gaza. I think I'll just occupy the whole thing. And we will discuss what that looks like specifically in a moment. First, though, T. Bates standing by with the latest headlines from the Real America's Voice newsroom, sponsored by AMAC.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
President Trump is giving Vice President J.D. Vance the nod to be the next Republican nominee for president. Tuesday, 47 said Vance is, quote, most likely his heir apparent since he's the sitting vice president. The commander-in-chief went on to float the idea of Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio teaming up for the 2028 GOP presidential ticket. While President Trump's statement isn't necessarily an endorsement, it is still major for Vance's presidential ambitions. Should he actually want the job? One has to assume that even with the election several years away, Vance is now the front runner. The 40-year-old vice president has proven himself to be a key diplomat and surrogate for selling President Trump's domestic and foreign policy agenda. Similarly, Secretary Rubio has cut his teeth as the first person since Henry Kissinger to serve as both Secretary of State and National Security Advisor. The search is on for the person who set fire to an ICE field office in Yakima, Washington, forcing the agents inside to flee for safety. All of this happened on Saturday. The facility, by the way, also home to the Washington State Department of Social and Health Services office, so officials aren't confirming that immigration agents were in fact the target of the firebombing. However, the firebombing comes as assaults on ICE personnel are up 830%. The building was clearly marked with public signage identifying it as a Department of Homeland Security office. In a statement following the attack, Assistant Homeland Security Secretary Tricia McLaughlin lays the blame for the recent rash of attacks on ICE agents on Democrats. Quote, make no mistake, Democrat politicians like House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, Mayor Michelle Wu of Boston, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, and Mayor Bass of Los Angeles are contributing to the surge of assaults on our ICE officers through their repeated vilification and demonization of ICE. While Elon Musk is off the Doge train, major cost cutting is still happening at all levels of government. Secretary of Health and Human Services Robert F. Kennedy Jr. making a big splash by cutting $500 million in funding for vaccine development programs targeting respiratory viruses like COVID-19 and the flu. In all, Kennedy's cuts will affect 22 projects seeking to develop vaccines using mRNA technology.
As the pandemic showed us, mRNA vaccines don't perform well against viruses that infect the upper respiratory tract. Here's the problem. mRNA only codes for a small part of the viral proteins, usually a single antigen. One mutation, and the vaccine becomes ineffective.
Secretary Kennedy says his agency will instead prioritize broader vaccine strategies like whole virus and novel platforms that don't collapse when viruses mutate. That's a quick check of your headlines. I'll have more headlines coming your way shortly, including Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reportedly working on a plan to occupy all of Gaza. We'll have the very latest on that developing story. First, though, a quick look at this day in history. It was on this date in 1945 that the U.S. dropped the first atomic bomb on Hiroshima. The bomb was dropped by the B-29 superfortress Enola Gay. Between 150 and 246,000 people were killed in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It remains the only time that nuclear weapons have been used in armed conflict. The Japanese surrendered to the Allied powers some 6 days later after the bombing there on Nagasaki. More American Sunrise coming your way in 2 minutes.
He was only 47. Aneurysm. Did he have life insurance? Do you? No. You gotta get on it. Check out SelectQuote. Trust me, the peace of mind, it's worth it.
Life insurance is too important to put off another day. That's why SelectQuote makes getting coverage you need easy for less than $1 a day. Now get up to a $2 million policy with no medical exam and same-day coverage.
The bathroom of your dreams is only a phone call away with BCI Bath and Shower. We can make your ordinary bath and shower extraordinary. This is not a cookie cutter design. This is a complete custom build that will fit your every need, and discounts for seniors and military.
You push it. You try to hold them shut, but your doors won't stay closed no matter what. Introducing Ruby Monkey Magnets. Ultra-thin magnetic plates that will keep your doors and drawers shut. Just peel to reveal the super strong adhesive. Place the monkey, then the magnet, and close. Installation is that simple, and now you have a door that will stay shut. The secret is the ultra-strong industrial magnet's powerful attraction that holds tight. Monkey magnets work on most surfaces and are perfect for cabinets, dresser drawers, sliding closet doors, and more. Even your outdoor problems are solved in an instant because they're corrosion and rust resistant. Call or go online now to get 8 sets of monkey magnets for only $9.99. Due to rising costs, this may be your last chance to get monkey magnets at this low price. There is a strict limit of 1 house pack per order. Call now.
Call 1-800-519-4389. That's 1-800-519-4389. Call or visit getmonkeymagnets.com. So call 1-800-519-4389 now.
Attention homeowners. Are you behind on your mortgage payments? Is the bank threatening to take your home? Is your home worth less than you owe? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you need to call this number right now.
Call 800-714-8615.
This is actually a live look in Warsaw, Poland as we speak. This is the new Polish president, Karol Nawrocki, being sworn in today. Trump-backed, by the way. Sovereignty, very important to her in Poland. The new conservative movement sweeping across Europe. Welcome back, everybody, to American Sunrise. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reportedly going to push for a new plan to occupy Gaza. Reports now saying that Netanyahu aiming to occupy all of the Gaza Strip, including the areas where the hostages are. Netanyahu is also reportedly going to convene the Security Cabinet this week to instruct the military on how to achieve those war objectives. For more, let's bring in the CEO and Jerusalem Bureau Chief of Jewish News Syndicate. That'd be Alex Trayman. Alex, always good to see you. So what do you think? I mean, is this going to happen? And what would that look like exactly? Good morning to you.
Good morning, David. Good morning, everybody. Yes, this has already been happening. As we know, the IDF already controls more than 75% of the Gaza Strip. Right. The decision is basically to take the IDF and to go into areas that they have avoided specifically because they were afraid that they would be killing hostages. But when you see the images of the hostages that Hamas is putting out over the last couple of days, you realize that they're on death's door and that you got to get this war over with as fast as possible. And unfortunately, if a few hostages will be lost trying to rescue, it's better than letting them starve to death inside these tunnels.
Yeah, no doubt. Alex, also over here in the United States, several Democrats have been calling on the Trump administration to recognize a Palestinian state. Axios reporting some House Democrats sent a letter to Team Trump making the request. President Trump is reportedly working on a plan to get people fed, he says, in Gaza, but has so far defended Israel. Where do you predict this going?
Well, President Trump is the one who is telling Israel to go ahead and occupy all of Gaza Strip. I think people have to understand that. I know from firsthand accounts, the president has multiple times told Israel to do what it needs to do to take back Gaza Strip. Remember that it was Israel that got rid of the Gaza Strip, that withdrew from the Gaza Strip in 2005, which created the conditions for Hamas to come in and created the conditions for October 7th. Obviously, Israel and the president want to see Palestinians fed. Israel is doing more than any military in the history of warfare to bring humanitarian aid into an enemy population where it is fighting. But you see here by what the Democrats are saying that after this president, there's no guarantee that an American administration will support Israel in its war efforts against terrorist organizations.
I'd like to bring your attention to this Jewish News Syndicate headline. It reads, kosher meals labeled Free Palestine served on Iberia flight. Argentina's umbrella Jewish group is condemning the incident, as I think anyone that's got any sense should be. What do you make of this?
It was actually funny because just a few days ago, I flew on an Iberia flight from Madrid into the United States. And I would say that my experience was nothing but pleasant, and all of the staff on the plane very pleasant, even as I had ordered kosher meals. I know that the captain of that plane came out and apologized to the passengers. But you see there's anti-Semites all over the world who are willing to, use their professional platforms and whatever they can in order to get anti-Semitic messaging. And I think anybody that's saying free Palestine over there is really what they're saying is that they're against Israel.
Hey, if I can just clarify, I'm sorry, I just want to clarify. So the captain came out. Did you get a kosher meal that had that sort of message on it?
I wasn't on that flight. No, I wasn't on that flight. I was on a separate flight. I just said my experience in Iberia was nothing but pleasant. I know this was a different flight, and I know in that specific case, as was reported in the JNS article, that the captain of the plane actually came out to apologize to the individuals who received that meal once they complained about it.
Gotcha. Okay, I thought you were talking about your experience. Okay.
Alex, can you help set the record straight about what's happening in Gaza from a humanitarian aid perspective? We're hearing, genocide by the Israeli government and all of that. I mean, it's all hogwash. The United Nations and Hamas are, in essence, working together. I mean, this falls on the United Nations for not getting so many of those pallets, those food pallets, into Gaza. Can you explain how the United Nations and Hamas work together and that Israel's getting not just a bad rap here, but it's just totally untrue?
Absolutely. Right now, there's two different ways in which humanitarian aid is getting distributed in the Gaza Strip. The first and the effective way is by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. It's a U.S. set up agency that's run by Reverend Johnny Moore, which is distributing millions of meals in southern Gaza. And I wouldn't say it's a perfect situation there, but they are delivering meals directly to Palestinian individuals, meaning that Hamas cannot get their hands on any of the humanitarian aid coming in more than a box at a time. In the north of Gaza, you have the UN working to distribute. They don't have the infrastructure to distribute meals. We've seen pallets and pallets of boxes of humanitarian aid rotting in the sun because they can't get distributed. And then once they do start to get distributed, we see that Hamas commandeers the entire shipments, and they use that in order to hold the Palestinian, the Gazan civilians hostage by selling that food to Palestinians for exorbitant prices and essentially maintaining control over the civilian population by being the ones that are distributing the humanitarian aid. So it's really a bad situation. And at the same time, you see the international community getting on Israel and getting on America's case for being the ones that are distributing aid directly to the civilians and saying that that's not working, specifically because it doesn't allow the aid to get into Hamas's hands.
Something I came across trying to read this stuff, and David Brody and Jake Novak have been great about trying to keep me up and educated on this. And I've been to Israel and know a little bit of the politics there, but one of the things I'm seeing as the narrative is sort of in flux on all of this is this idea of this three-state solution. So I know what a two-state solution is, but what is a three-state solution?
Well, if you look at the original partition for a Jewish state, it was supposed to include all of Israel. It was supposed to include all of Jordan, at the time called Transjordan. And the British, they divided off Jordan, which is about 3/4 of that territory, and they imported a Saudi Hashemite to run that country. Now, Jordan is more than 50% Palestinian. If any country in the region would be an apartheid where a minority is ruling over a majority, it would be in Jordan. And now, even though you have majority of people in Jordan, Palestinians, they want to see what they call a two-state solution. But what that would be is dividing the state of Israel into three parts, which is Judea and Samaria, what the international community calls the West Bank, because they don't want you to know that Jews actually have inherent biblical ancestral rights to live in an area called Judea. And then this separate, smaller area that we've been focusing on over the last 2 years called the Gaza Strip. They're not contiguous. They don't touch touch each other. And in 2005, Israel actually withdrew from the Gaza Strip to allow for an independent Palestinian entity to govern itself. So people that are now calling for a two-state solution in Israel, what they want is for Israel to get out of the Gaza Strip, and then they want Israel to withdraw hundreds of thousands of their civilians from Judea. They don't want any Jews living in Judea, and they want that to be a Palestinian state as well.
Alex Trayman, great to have you on. Great perspective. You're not going to see that on CNN. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Alex. Thank you.
All right, coming up, a new investigation shows just how much some of our personal information is being accessed by some of the top social media apps. How can we stop it? We have a way forward. We're talking about it next on American Sunrise.
Stay tuned to get a free automatic toilet bowl cleaner for Mermaid. Your sink stopper's broken, but fixing a drain is such a pain. Not anymore. Introducing Mermaid Drain Magic, the instant solution to most broken drains. Simply remove and replace. In just seconds, you can fill and drain with a simple press of a button. Drain Magic makes replacing your old, broken, rusty, even missing sink stoppers fast and easy.
Practically took me 5 seconds to replace. It absolutely made my sink look like brand new.
Honestly, I couldn't believe it. How could it work so well, look so good, and install so quickly?
And forget clogging, because Drain Magic's anti-clogging basket helps catch debris before it goes down the drain. When the basket's full, just discard. Helps prevent clogs in your sink by catching hair, food, even jewelry. Drain Magic uses a silicone gasket that creates a watertight seal without messy plumber's putty. Look, this sink was filled hours ago and the water still remains. Press the spring-loaded stopper and the water's gone. Made of brass and finished in high-quality chrome, Drain Magic is rust-resistant and built to last.
It's made out of metal, not plastic, and it actually has some weight to it. Yeah, this is the real deal.
Just looks like a new sink now.
Order your 2-in-1 drain solution, Mermaid Drain Magic, today for only $19.99. And with every order, you're going to get a Mermaid automatic toilet bowl cleaner absolutely free. Just drop it in the tank for up to 3 months of hands-free cleaning. Mermaid's ultra-concentrated formula cleans and deodorizes with every flush. But wait, due to rising costs, this may be your last chance to get Mermaid Drain Magic at this incredibly low price with free Mermaid toilet bowl cleaner. There's a strict limit of 3. Call or click now to order.
Call 1-800-519-3206 or visit getdrainmagic.com. So call 1-800-519-3206 or visit getdrainmagic.com. Order now.
All right, well, it's not Detroit, but it kind of reminds me of Detroit. I am headed to Pittsburgh this weekend. My husband's favorite artist in the world is Donnie Iris, and he wants to go see him. And so I'm going to go with him, and I'm hoping there's something to do in Pittsburgh. I have to ask Michelle Backus because she's from Pittsburgh, so we'll find out. Welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Dr. Gina. Thank you for joining us. Time now for today's health news, sponsored by The Wellness Company and Under the Microscope today. I know this sounds so trite. When I first read this story, I thought, I am not going to say this to our audience, Pierce. And then I read it a little more closely. The shocking thing about this isn't what I'm saying. It's how much it can impact your lifespan. Brisk walking. I know you don't want to hear me tell you to walk or eat your vegetables or any of that kind of stuff, but brisk walking for just 15 minutes per day can boost your lifespan. A new study from American Journal of Preventive Medicine shows that this walking briskly for just those 15 minutes shows a nearly 20% reduction in mortality. 20%, you guys, I mean, that's like 1/5. It can increase your lifespan by 1/5. That is so much. I don't know. That number just shocked me. It boosts heart function. We know that. Yada, yada. Lowers the risk for heart disease. But this study was done across 12 states. It's a significant study. It had nearly 80,000 people in the study. I'm a researcher by nature. You just don't see these kinds of numbers for something. 15 minutes of your day, getting those steps in, can increase your lifespan by 20%. That's some crazy numbers. All right. New administration in Washington, D.C. has brought a lot of positive changes when it comes to fixing our broken healthcare system. The reality, though, There's only so much the government can do. And if you really want to make America healthy again, starts at home with each and every one of us. And that is where the Wellness Company comes in. You see and hear from their doctors all the time on this network, and you know that their products are the gold standard when it comes to keeping you safe and healthy. The Wellness Company gives you the opportunity to make sure you're prepared for whatever happens with their series of prescription medical kits. These kits have an assortment of life-saving medications and a guidebook to tell you how to use the meds in the kit. Additionally, the Wellness Company offers a variety of products, including things like parasite cleanses, methylene blue, weight loss, and so much more. These can help you stay healthy and live a longer, more satisfying life. Make America Healthy Again starts at home. Do your part. Protect the health of yourself and your family. Go to twc.health/RAV today. Give it an order. That's twc.health/RAV today. Use the promo code RAV to save 10%. I just realized that I told you guys, when I tell you something, I really want to stand by it. I realized I told you yesterday that Dr. Kelly Victory and I were going to had some insight on methylene blue, a little bit more about that methylene blue. And then we didn't get to it. So I just want to make an absolute promise to this audience that we will ask some more. We're going to delve into some of these issues around methylene blue because it's become very popular. Bobby Kennedy did methylene blue in a video, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, I have to take it. Lots of people in our chat are very concerned about it. I personally take it. But then there was some controversy, some sort of blowback. So we're going to get into that as the days progress here on this show. So you guys will just have to watch, right, David?
That's correct. The Dr. G seal of approval, guaranteed. It's coming.
Well, no, I didn't. It's a little controversial right now. We're gonna talk about it.
Oh, okay.
Another
All
show,
right.
Not today.
I can't wait. I'll be here. I'm not going anywhere.
That's
all right.
Good.
All right. So we found a shocking new report on just how much smartphone apps have access to our information. There's a new investigation that shows that the 20 most popular apps, like, for example, Facebook, of course, Amazon, Instagram, WhatsApp, they ask for permissions to our location, microphones, and other files on our phones, as we know. Of course, they don't need our information to properly function. Many of these permissions are actually very risky to the user, putting their personal data potentially in harm's way. There could be a system to change all of that as a way to truly protect your info, and it's from Titanium Comms. Have a look at this.
Have you ever wondered if someone was monitoring you, like nefarious tech companies, corrupt federal agencies, or hostile foreign countries? Newsflash, they are. The deep state, big tech, and China are tracking your every move and using it against you. Up until now, you've been powerless to stop it. However, Titanium Secure has cracked the code with post-quantum encryption, and we control the entire ecosystem end to end. Join Titanium Secure today and help us vanquish the enemies of free speech. Visit titaniumsecure.io.
Pretty darn cool. For more, let's bring in the CEO of Titanium Comms. That'd be Dr. John Reese. John, thanks for being here. Look, we know Americans have to be careful about being spied on. So tell us more about some of what Americans need to understand here. This is a big deal.
Yeah, David, thanks for having me, and I appreciate the opportunity to get this information out. I think everybody knows that pretty much everything we do and say is being tracked. I mean, you've been on your cell phone talking and or on your computer doing a search, and next thing you know, you get an ad for something. You know, that's common knowledge. But you know, again, everything we do is being tracked, and that information that's collected by the companies that are tracking that data can be used to market to you, but they can also be used to predict your behavior. And when they can predict your behavior, they can control your behavior. And that's one of the big problems with things like TikTok, which is what the government has banned recently, and I think they're still working on that. But Dr. Robert Epstein did a study back in the 2016 election on Google searches, and he proved that searches on search engines were actually used to manipulate how people voted in the 2016 election. Because again, when they can predict your behavior, they can control your behavior. So everything we do is being tracked, and we opt into it sometimes, and sometimes we don't. But mostly the tracking is used to market to you, but it can also be used for very nefarious purposes. And again, even the government has been known to spy on people without their permission. The FISA warrants and the other types of surveillance that the government use can be very, very nefarious. And even corporate entities can spy on conversations to steal information or to get a competitive advantage over their competition. And then, of course, the very worst thing that could happen is you can share information like photographs of your children, and that can be put on the dark web, and all kinds of terrible things can happen with that.
Yeah, John, we got about a minute left, maybe a little less, but you gotta tell us about quantum computing. Apparently, that is just a few years away, and it makes AI look like child's play. And you guys have a solution, which is basically quantum resistant encryption. So dumb this down for us, but I got about 30 to 40 seconds here.
All right, quantum computing is a super fast, super huge computer that can process information, multiple reams of information simultaneously in multiple locations. So they can take traditional encryption methodology and break it down within minutes or hours, depending on the size of the computer. Quantum resistant encryption is what we deploy through methods approved by the National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST, that future-proof our encryption so that quantum computers cannot break our encryption code because that encryption is quantum resistant. If they can break it, it's going to take them much longer than it can on the traditional encryption methodology, and so we're future-proofed, if you will.
The website, where can people go get more information? Is it Titanium? Give it to me.
Titaniumcomms.com.
Got it. John Reese, great to have you on the show. Appreciate you.
Thank you, my friend. Enjoyed it.
All right, coming up, CBS News reportedly has refused to show the video of the Hamas hostage digging his own grave. So how have they been covering the story? We're going to talk about it next on American Sunrise.
You push it. You try to slide it. You even try to hold them shut. But your doors just won't stay closed no matter what. Introducing Ruby Monkey Magnets. Brand new ultra-thin magnetic plates that will keep your doors and drawers shut. And now may be your last chance to get them at a low price. Just peel to reveal the super strong adhesive. Place the monkey, then the magnet, and close. Installation is that simple, and now you have a door that will stay shut. So forget drawers that won't stay closed. Every drawer stays closed. It's so fast and so easy. Even large sliding doors or cordless window blinds. Everything stays closed with Monkey Magnets. The secret is the ultra-strong industrial magnet that's powerful attraction keeps your doors and drawers securely shut. These magnets are so strong they can hold this hammer that's nearly 5 pounds. Plus they're super thin. They'll fit just about anywhere, and they stay out of sight. Even screw them in for a more permanent solution. Monkey Magnets are perfect for cabinets, dresser drawers, sliding closet doors, accordion doors, and more. They're made of ultra-durable metal, so even your outdoor problems are solved in an instant because they're corrosion and rust resistant. Use them anywhere outside the house, even on that stubborn mailbox that won't stay shut. Monkey Magnets can stick anywhere, from drywall to all types of wood frames, metal surfaces, and more. Call or go online now to get 8 sets of Monkey Magnets for only $9.99. Monkey Magnets are guaranteed to last 10 years or your money back. But wait, due to rising costs and supply chain shortages, this may be your last chance to get Monkey Magnets at this low price. There is a strict limit of 1 full house pack per order while supplies last. So order now to keep all your doors and drawers shut tight with Monkey Magnets.
Call 1-800-519-4810. That's 1-800-519-4810. Call or visit getmonkeymagnets.com. So call 1-800-519-4810. Order now.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. Let's be honest, most coffee gives you a quick hit, then leaves you jittery, foggy, and reaching for another cup before lunch. But what if your coffee actually did something for your health? Rejuvenate Coffee is science-backed. Infused with CAAKG, a compound shown to support cellular energy, metabolism, and even healthy aging. It's not a gimmick. It's not trendy. It's built for people who take their health seriously, who want to show up with focus and strength every single day. If you care about how you feel now and how you'll feel 10 years from now, then this is your coffee. Go to 1775coffee.com/RAV and use the code RAV for 10% off and start your day with coffee that stands for truth, health, and freedom. Fuel your body, protect your future, rejuvenate. Now let's send it over to Terrance Bates.
Emily, thank you, ma'am. Now that we're caffeinated, it's time to stay awake, not woke. And who is woke today, you ask? Well, it would be CBS News. Newsbusters has pointed out that CBS has refused to show images of a Hamas hostage being forced to dig his own grave. We are hearing reports, though, that since this report came out, CBS has started to show the video. I will say that ABC and NBC both ran the video almost immediately, but focused on the hostage situation in general. They also appeared to blame Israel for the issues in and around Gaza. But we took a look this morning, and again, CBS capitulated and did run some of the new video. They were pretty late to the party. For more, let's bring in Dr. Gina and Emily. And Emily, when I say we took a look this morning, that really was you, because you just brought it up for us that they finally did come to the party. But again, it's late. Good journalism is having the report on time or early. And several days later means it's almost no mission.
Absolutely, Terrance. I think late to the party was the best way to describe how CBS covered this. Honestly, ABC and NBC as well. This obviously needs to be something that we cover with a lot of due diligence, take a lot of time to verify sources. But at the same time, it's a huge story that has global implications. Gina, it needs to be taken with a lot of sensitivity in how we cover these types of stories.
But I mean, the great thing is that now a lot of information gets out. I mean, I think, I don't know about you guys, but I don't go to watch TV to get my news anymore. I usually keep Rav on in the background. I might have a couple of other screens with a couple of channels that are up just to kind of get a glimpse. But what I immediately do is usually, honestly, I go into X or Instagram, because that's where I tend to find a lot of what's actually on the minds of people. And I'm much more interested in listening to what's on the minds of people. For example, folks in this audience, you guys know I'm glued to the chat every single show, and then I am what some talking head on some channel. I mean, really, we're here to talk through issues with people in a format where they can, I feel like our job, honestly, is much more than reading some headlines or reading some AP thing or Drudge or whatever. I feel like our job is to look at what normal, every single day people who don't live on the coasts are saying about issues. You get the issues from what's happening in the headlines, but you should get the conversation of what matters about those issues from the people. At least that's what I think. That's my humble opinion.
And Dr. Gina, I'll just add to that. I tend to agree with you on that, but I think that our job also extends to offering context and perspective to the news headlines. Sometimes the story is the story, but you don't really fully understand it unless you understand the history and the context and the perspective of that story. And so I think that's an important thing that we add to our coverage of whatever is happening around the world, is that context, that real world perspective, both from our viewers as well as from our personal experiences and our research.
Absolutely. And I think that's why trust in media has been such a hot topic, not only on this network, but on a bunch of different outlets right now. I'm talking about, like X. Media, the landscape has changed so much because of that lack of trust. It doesn't matter if you're late to the party or if you don't give the history, like you said, Terrance. If you don't give the full story and you don't have full context, then at the end of the day, the audience is no longer going to tune in to what you have to say or read what you have to write, because the trust has been completely lost.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. And it would help a lot if they just started teaching history in schools again. Like, that would be great. If it wasn't the job, if it weren't the job of the newscaster to iterate the history, because the problem is that they lie on a lot of these channels. I mean, you see it all the time where they just absolutely rewrite history. I mean, that's all over the world. That's not just in America. It should be up to each individual to do their own research and to learn history. But unfortunately, you're right. We have to remediate sometimes.
Yeah. And don't trust us. Read it for yourselves. I'll put it out there first. 100%. Don't trust me. I've done my research, but please do your own research.
And he only walks back and forth to the refrigerator, despite my news this morning.
Okay. See, that was a personal conversation in the chat, Dr. Gina. Now you're putting it out here for all these people to see. Yeah, I do. That's about as much walking as I get in, but that's a whole nother story. Coming up, some of the legacy media really love the gotcha moments of faith, but how are they actually trying to debunk the Shroud of Turin? We'll assess next here on American Sunrise.
When surprise breakdowns happen, American Home Shield will be there to fix or replace parts of the systems and appliances you rely on every day. They help protect your time and money by connecting you with qualified pros and helping pay for covered repairs or replacements. AHS offers flexible and affordable plans for every home. Sign up today and get 50% off. Visit ahs.com or call 833-PLAN-AHS for this limited time offer.
Life is precious.
I want to make a point. No matter what happens, I'll always be there for you.
I know. When a woman experiences an unplanned pregnancy, she's faced with a difficult decision. Preborn connects with life-affirming pregnancy clinics across the nation and provides them with free ultrasound sessions for expectant mothers. When a mother sees her baby on an ultrasound and hears their heartbeat, it doubles the chance she'll choose life. With your gift of $28, Preborn will provide a free ultrasound for an expectant mother. Visit preborn.com/life to save a baby's life.
Do you suffer in pain? Are you stiff, tense, or less active? Introducing the Easy Well Remedy Massage System, a triple fusion of therapeutic experiences. Full body vibrational therapy increases blood circulation and reduces inflammation. Infrared heat penetrates deep to reduce pain, soothe, and relax. The Ultra Shiatsu pillow with 6 heated nodes mimics a professional massage. Plus, it's detachable for deep relief anywhere you need it. Experience the true remedy for your pain and stiffness. Call now.
God bless the USA.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. It is time now for our Moment of Faith, brought to us by Lee Greenwood and the God Bless the USA Bible. In focus today, the Shroud of Turin, believed to be the burial cloth of Jesus. They've been making headlines once again. Some scientists are now claiming the shroud was not, in fact, wrapped around a human being, citing findings from artificial intelligence and 3D software. They claim it's more like art. But Christians around the world have believed for centuries the shroud shows the true face of Jesus. So what are the true origins of the shroud? For discussion, let's welcome to American Sunrise Father Frank Pavone, the Director of Priests for Life. Father, I always love having you on the show. Very excited to hear what you have to say about this. I understand you have a personal connection to the shroud.
Yes, I sure do. I grew up in the parish of Corpus Christi in Port Chester, New York. And if people can look up the name of Father Peter Rinaldi, he was my pastor, my first spiritual director, and he was a world expert on the Shroud of Turin. He wrote a book about it. He was in touch with all the scientists in regard to it. This was all the way back in the 1970s. And at our parish, he had built a room, which was a museum of the Holy Shroud. And we were one of the only parishes, and still there, that has a full-scale replica of the shroud. So I grew up looking at that image that we're seeing there right now. And also a crucifix was made. Usually our crucifixes actually are somewhat sanitized. They show maybe the wound on the side of Jesus, the nail marks in his wrist. But this crucifix built based on the shroud has scars all over his body. It's very hard to even look at. But look, scientifically, nothing has debunked the shroud. In fact, nothing can explain that image. This most recent study is ridiculous because the researchers started with the presumption that the shroud was touching the body and that the image came about as a result of the body contacting the shroud. But that's not what the image is. There's no pigment on it. There's no there's nothing that penetrated the fibers. It's like on the surface of the fibers. It is anatomically perfectly accurate. It is spatially aligned so that the intensity of the image is in proportion to the distance from the body. It is almost as though at the moment of the resurrection, this image was in some way imprinted on the cloth. It's not burned, it's no pigment. It is an amazing image, and all the scientific research for decades has continued to astonish those who research it. So an amazing little stimulus to our faith. And we should note, finally, obviously our faith in Jesus Christ and in his resurrection does not rise or fall based on the authenticity of the shroud. It's based on our living relationship with Jesus Christ, which so many of our viewers have. But nevertheless, we don't ignore these things because God provides these little encouragements to faith, if you will, stimulants to faith, especially for those whose faith might not be that strong. And they realize, they look at a scientific marvel like this, and it leads them to start to think, hey, maybe Jesus is real.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better, Father. Thank you so much for laying that all out for us. I wish that we could continue this conversation. You know, sometimes it's the unexplained, the things that science can explain, like why does the shroud match up so well with the divine mercy image? We talked about that a little bit in the break.
Yes.
We got to get you back on the show. We're running out of time, but thank you so much for the conversation.
You're welcome.
We'll be back with the second hour of American Sunrise in just 2 minutes. Stick around.
Introducing the limited edition God Bless the USA Bible, inspired by Lee Greenwood's hit song and the most recognized patriotic anthem in America, God Bless the USA. The God Bless the USA large print leather-bound King James Bible also contains America's founding documents, the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, and the Pledge of Allegiance, along with a handwritten chorus to Lee Greenwood's song, God Bless the USA. With its large print and slim design, this Bible invites you to explore God's Word anywhere, anytime. The God Bless the USA Bible makes the perfect gift and cherished family heirloom keepsake to pass on to future generations. Designed for an easy reading experience in the trusted King James Version translation, this large print Bible is perfect to take to church, Bible study, work, and for traveling. Order yours today at GodBlessTheUSABible.com.
Lives are shattered in the Holy Land.
In an instant, these families lost everything. Elderly, children went from having homes to having everything destroyed. The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews is on the ground to provide food and shelter and emergency supplies.
Has God given you a heart for Israel? Your prayers and help are urgently needed. An emergency gift of $45 will help thousands of elderly and families with desperately needed food.
Zelda was here when the missile hit just a block away. Her whole body is bruised and wounded. And it's very clear that Zelda is in no condition to find ways to get food.
Call or go online now to let Israel know you're praying and helping provide emergency aid.
It's all for you.
Food is critical, and so is shelter from attack. The Israeli government has asked the fellowship to urgently place 1,000 mobile bomb shelters immediately.
You can place a mobile bomb shelter in Israel right now. All we need is for you to enable us to buy the shelters. Thanks, shelters that are proven to save lives.
This is our moment to take a stand, to show the world that Christians will not be silent. When we bless Israel, we stand against hatred, and we become part of God's plan to defend his people.
This is our moment when we can stand up and align ourselves with the Word of God to help to relieve the suffering of Jews who are under threat of attack even now.
My friends, now there are more needs than ever before. The destruction is unprecedented. Don't wait until tomorrow. Please act now.
Just ahead on the second hour of American Sunrise, the Clintons subpoenaed to appear before Congress. The House Oversight Committee wants to question Bill and Hill in connection with the Jeffrey Epstein case and their search for the truth. In moments, we'll have the latest on a story that's getting more and more intense as each layer is peeled back. Plus, Texas House Democrats who went rogue over redistricting are now facing arrest warrants, while Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett spews hate and foul language against President Trump. In moments, you will hear what she said and the disrespect that was shown to President Trump and to the office. And China may be happy, but Tim Walz can't be after new memos expose Homeland Security's deep concerns about the former vice presidential candidate and his connections to the CCP. Those stories, so much more, just ahead as the second hour of American Sunrise starts right now.
Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
we have breaking news to share with you.
Politics.
President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
We've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrance.
And I'm Dr. Gina.
All right, welcome back to the second hour of American Sunrise. I'm Dr. G. We are coming to you from the Palm Beaches. Let's bring in Emily Finn. She is right here in the West Palm Beach studio with me, and T. Bates, who's in our Denver newsroom. Good morning to both of you.
Dr. Gina and Emily, good morning. There's so much going on today, guys. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of talk about President Trump seemingly tapping J.D. Vance, but also a big announcement coming out of the White House at some point in time later this afternoon. At this point, I don't know exactly what that is, but we'll get to it here in just a little bit. In fact, on Tuesday, President Trump said that J.D. Vance is, quote, most likely his heir apparent since he is, of course, the sitting vice president. The commander-in-chief went on to float the idea of J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio teaming up for the 2028 GOP presidential ticket. And while President Trump's statement isn't necessarily an endorsement, it still is major for J.D. Vance's presidential ambitions should he actually want the job. One has to assume, of course, that even with the election several years away, J.D. Vance is now the front runner. The 40-year-old vice president has proven himself to be a key diplomat and surrogate for selling President Trump's domestic and foreign policy agenda. And similarly, Secretary Rubio has cut his teeth as the first person since Henry Kissinger to serve as both Secretary of State and National Security Advisor. The search is on for the person who set fire to an ICE field office in Yakima, Washington, forcing the agents inside to flee for safety. All of this happened on Saturday. You can see pictures of the fire here. The facility is also home to the Washington State Department of Social and Health Services office. So officials aren't necessarily confirming at this point that immigration agents were in fact the target of the firebombing. However, the flames come as assaults on ICE personnel are up 830%. The building was clearly marked with public signage identifying it as a Department of Homeland Security office. In a statement following the attack, Assistant Homeland Security Secretary Tricia McLaughlin lays the blame for these recent rashes of attacks on ICE agents on the Democrats. Quote, make no mistake, Democrat politicians like House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, Mayor Michelle Wu of Boston, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, and Mayor Bass of Los Angeles are contributing to the surge in assaults of our ICE officers through their repeated vilification and demonization of ICE. While Elon Musk is off the Doge train, major cost cutting is still happening at all levels of government. Secretary of Health and Human Services Robert F. Kennedy Jr. making a big splash by cutting $500 million in funding for vaccine development programs targeting respiratory viruses like COVID-19 and the flu. In all, Kennedy's cuts will affect 22 projects seeking to develop vaccines using mRNA technology.
As the pandemic showed us, mRNA vaccines don't perform well against viruses that infect the upper respiratory tract. Here's the problem. mRNA only codes for a small part of the viral proteins, usually a single antigen. One mutation, and the vaccine becomes ineffective.
Secretary Kennedy says his agency will instead prioritize broader vaccine strategies like whole virus and novel platforms that don't collapse when viruses mutate. That's a quick check of your headlines. I'll, of course, have more headlines coming your way in just a minute. But now, let's get you back over to Dr. Gina.
All right, Terrance, thank you. It is time for our top story, the Epstein case and the wild turn that it just took. Yesterday, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer issued deposition subpoenas for Bill and Hillary Clinton as part of his panel's probe into the crimes perpetrated by Epstein. The committee has also subpoenaed former FBI directors James Comey and Robert Mueller and former attorneys general Loretta Lynch, Eric Holder, Merrick Garland, Jeff Sessions, and Bill Barr to testify. Bill and Hillary being asked to appear before the panel in early October, while Attorneys General Barr and Sessions are set for late August. Attorneys General Holder and Lynch are set to appear in September. Joining us now with more insight from Washington is RAV Chief White House reporter Brian Glenn. Brian, this web, I mean, it's always been tangled, but now we can see it. It's like when this morning, actually, as I was getting ready for work, this actually happened. I looked and there's this mirror, and then I have a sliding glass door right behind it in my room, and I see this web, because the sun was shining just right on it. That's what's happening right now in this whole Epstein thing. The sun is shining just right on this tangled web, isn't it?
It is, and it was nice to see that they have been subpoenaed and they will make an appearance there starting later this month and others up in September. Now, it is important to point out that you can indict a ham sandwich, which is often said, but a conviction is a little harder for that. But I want to give credit to someone, an investigative journalist that I've seen here at the White House. Her Instagram is House in Habit. Jessica Krause has done an amazing job investigating this entire story, going back years before this really hit the front headlines of the major outlets, kind of laying out and putting the pieces together. And the fact that now Bill and Hillary Clinton have been ordered to testify and get in front of that oversight committee is huge. And the reason being that this is less of a sex trafficking operation, even though that was the topic that hit the headlines. That's the headline that gets the clicks. But it's more about a money laundering scheme that Bill Clinton and others were operating through Maxwell through to benefit Epstein. Now, Epstein was self-described as kind of a math wizard, if you will. But if you start to connect these this cobweb, as you described in your open, you will see this is more about money laundering than sex trafficking. Obviously, the sex trafficking was a part of this lavish lifestyle. Private islands, jets, boats, yachts, condos, parties, all of that was really an interweb of business people through a money laundering scheme. The sex trafficking was a part of all of that. And of course, I think Maxwell, when she was questioned the other day by Todd Blanche, I think she had a lot to say. And I think that President Trump allowing that conversation to take place is elevating what she knows and pulling the curtain back on the Clinton Foundation, or I should say the Clinton, both of them involved in all of this.
Brian, yesterday, President Trump was talking to reporters from atop the White House. He was on the roof. Today, he'll be back in the Oval Office making a big announcement late this afternoon. Any idea what that announcement has to do with? I've been looking high and low, and I can't seem to find anything.
Yeah, a lot of speculation on what that announcement will be today. I went from everything from he's going to formally announce that he will not run for a third time to tariff rates on India. Of course, that could come up as well. And I just heard in the last few minutes, my colleague here, I'll give Daniel Baldwin, OEN, some credit here. He's the one that told me this about an Apple investment coming into the U.S. and they're going to invest more in Apple, which is great. So maybe all three of those topics are on the table, as the Oval Office is often a nice platform for everyone to kind of ask those questions. So stay tuned for that. That is at 4:30 this afternoon in the Oval Office.
We will certainly be staying tuned for that, Brian. You know, I do have to ask, Terrance, he mentioned this, we kind of glossed over it. Brian, you're at the White House every day. Did you ever think you'd see this, a president on the roof? Trump was asked what he was doing up there. We have a quick soundbite of that. Let's take a listen.
4 ways to spend my money.
Can you give us another thing?
Well, we'll show you. It's just another way to spend my money for the country. Anything I do is financed by me, so you're not the word, it's contributed. Just like my salary is contributed, but nobody ever mentions that.
Sir, you're gonna add another medal.
What else, guys? What do you want to build? What are you trying to build?
What?
Sir, do you approve? Say more missiles? Are you building missiles? What? Come on, Dad.
What a sight to see, Brian. Even the official White House account weighed in on this. They were poking some fun at President Trump up on the roof there, trying to say that he was talking about the Sydney Sweeney ad. Obviously a joke here. Brian, what has been the buzz about this?
Yeah, it was exciting to see as we walked up yesterday morning. We noticed that there were some snipers in some positions that we traditionally do not see them. So we thought maybe something was going on. We saw some movement. We were told by one of the Secret Service people that we had to remove our stuff from the stakeout at a certain time. We did that. Stakeout was put in another position. Reporters started to speculate that something was going to happen. Then the media was pushed back, really just behind me. And then we realized that President Trump was going to step out on the roof. Now, what he was doing up there, of course, he could have been just, looking at the new space that they redid the Rose Garden area. They put some pavers down. Maybe he was getting kind of an aerial view of that. Maybe he was looking at where the new beautiful ballroom will go. Who knows? Or perhaps he just wanted to walk on the roof. And I would say, for me personally, that was the first time I've seen President Trump on the roof. That might be the first time a president here. I don't think we saw Joe Biden on the roof. The only thing that he was staring at the roof was that he was in bed looking at the ceiling. But President Trump, once again, lighting up the media with speculation why President Trump was on the roof.
Yeah. I've seen him, I have to say, many times, during the day when things are kind of slow at Mar-a-Lago. If you're having lunch there a little late in the afternoon, I'm sure some of the others of you have seen this as well. He will walk around and be like, oh, this needs a little touch up on the gold. And these guys will come running with the gold and touch it up, because he likes everything gold. And so he is constantly, he pays attention to every single, and he closes Mar-a-Lago down for months. It's closed right now, in fact, with renovations. And so he pays this man is a builder through and through. And if you've ever read the book Tree for Peter, it always reminds me, it's a great classic literature book, Tree for Peter. I give it as a baby gift. It is a great book that talks about how somebody who has that in them, they really have it in. He is a builder through and through.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. When he put that big flagpole up, we spent quite 20 minutes probably talking about the flagpole and how far it went down in the ground. It was packed with sand because sand didn't rust the pole. I mean, he was very detailed on that. Now, I will say that the Rose Garden just got some pavers. It just completed through construction, so maybe that's right outside the Oval Office. Maybe he was showing his guests what it looks like from up there.
Who knows?
Absolutely. Brian Glenn reporting this morning from the White House. As always, good information, my friend. Have a good day. And I still want some keepsakes from the White House, like a White House napkin or a pencil or something like that. I don't know if that's fraud, waste, and abuse, but I still want
Grab it out of the coffee area there, Brian. Some of those napkins and cups and sugars that say White House on them, grab them for tea.
There you go. There you go.
I will do that.
No, you won't. He's like,
yes,
I'm not doing that. I'm not going to risk getting arrested for sugar for T. Bates. Love you, brother. Appreciate it. Okay. All right, folks. Texas state reps are grabbing headlines yet again for their ability to at least stall the redistricting bill that President Trump is backing there. But Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett's potty mouth concerning the commander-in-chief, well, that's also getting headlines. Ahead, hear exactly what she had to say about the president. That's next.
Selling your home shouldn't be expensive or stressful. At Ideal Agent, we'll connect you with a top local agent that'll sell your home fast for top dollar, and all this for as low as a 2% commission.
Ideal Agent connected me with the best realtor in my market, and I saved $12,500 as a result of it, and I got more than my asking price.
Ideal Agent is available nationwide, there's no obligation, and best of all, our service is completely free. Call today or visit idealagent.com.
A heart attack? Do they have life insurance?
No.
But we have life insurance. John.
I'm trying to find something we can afford.
Fortunately, in only a few minutes, SelectQuote found John a $500,000 policy for only $29 a month, and his wife Anne a $500,000 policy for only $21 a month. Go to SelectQuote.com now and get the insurance your family needs
at a price you can afford. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Stay tuned to get a free automatic toilet bowl cleaner from Mermaid. Your sink stopper's broken, and fixing a drain is a pain. Introducing Mermaid Drain Magic, the instant solution to most broken drains. Just remove and replace. In seconds, you can fill and drain with a simple press of a button. Drain Magic makes replacing your old, broken, rusty, even missing sink stoppers fast and easy. Drain Magic's anti-clogging basket helps prevent clogs in your sink, catching hair, food, even jewelry. Made with brass and chrome and a silicone gasket, it creates a watertight seal. Order your Mermaid Drain Magic today for only $19.99 and get a Mermaid Toilet Bowl Cleaner absolutely free. Drop it in the tank for up to 3 months of cleaning. But wait, this could be your last chance to get Drain Magic at this low price with free toilet bowl cleaner. There's a strict limit of 3, so order now.
Call 1-800-519-4303 or visit getdrainmagic.com. So call 1-800-519-4303 or visit getdrainmagic.com. Order now.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm American Sunrise contributor Emily Finn. It's great to have you with us this morning. Time now to drain the swamp. And this morning we are flushing out Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who's been making a name for herself on the Hill for her outrageous comments. This weekend, she took it one step further. Take a look.
Listen, Donald Trump is a piece of okay, we know that. Yes, he is. But in a functioning democracy, he still would not be able to get away with this. But he's been able to get away with this because the House Republicans are complicit. He's been able to get away with this because Senate Republicans are complicit. But most importantly, the courts, especially the Supreme Court, is complicit.
Let's bring in Terrance for discussion here. Your reaction to Crockett's foul language. I mean, this is an elected official. She doesn't have to be speaking like this.
Yeah, I think her choice of language is unfortunate. As I've said many times, I believe that all lawmakers, particularly in the U.S. House and U.S. Senate, should be statesmen. And as a statesman, there's a certain decorum that one should have. So I think the language is regrettable, yes. But also, I think what's regrettable is what appears to be a lack of respect for the office of the presidency. I think there's also a certain respect, whether you agree with the president or not, that one should afford the president. And that's good for Democrats and Republicans. And this sort of attack, I just think, is unfortunate and doesn't do our country good. Again, I think there can be healthy disagreement. I think there should be healthy and healthy debate. But I also think decorum should always rule the day.
Yeah, I think that's really, really well said, Terrance. You know, at the end of the day, it's pretty obvious that this is just shock value, right? She's just trying to, kind of get attention. But there's a lot better ways to do that through actual policy and through doing good things for your community and listening to your constituents, not by just resorting to, saying outrageous things to try to make headlines. So hopefully,
So, Emily, I will say this. I don't think what she said was to make headlines. I believe she believes that. I believe that was an authentic reaction. I just believe, again, that when you hold a certain position, there's diplomacy should rule the day. You can make your point diplomatically, and that wasn't diplomatic. And again, it wasn't indicative of a statesman, in my opinion. But I think she was absolutely authentic. I believe she believes she sees President Trump that way. But again, you should respect the office, whether you disagree with the person in it or not. I think all of our lawmakers should respect the office.
Sure, there's definitely a way to say that, like you said, more diplomatically. Let's open this up to our viewers. We want to know what you think. Let us know on Rumble or Getter. Hop on and let your voice be heard. Up next, it's time to head over to Wall Street for some common sense when it comes to your wallet. It's ahead as American Sunrise continues.
To To avoid digital threats, just turn on NordVPN. Improve your protection against trackers, malicious websites, and malware-ridden downloads. Get the deal now.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Why aren't you getting results? Random workouts, overtraining muscles, completely missing others, wasted time. Don't do that. Do this. This is 25 Minute Speed Train. Follow me for just 25 minutes a day, 7 days a week, with minimal equipment, and get actual results.
Look at the definition. I didn't have these arms at high school.
Subscribe to Body in the next 24 hours for less than 50 cents a day and get 25 Minute Speed Train free at bodywithaneye.com.
Kevin paid off over $12,000 in credit card debt with the help of Consolidated Credit. They cut his interest rates and lowered his payments so he could pay off his debt fast. Call 800-596-8062 for a free consultation.
Santa Monica Pier, good morning. That place gets crowded and it is super expensive. How do I know? I was just there the other day. And I didn't buy a thing because it was so massively overpriced. But the Pacific Coast Highway, the PCH, when I tell you one of the most gorgeous drives ever, if you've never been, put that on your bucket list. Just drive the PCH, the Pacific Coast Highway, there in California, in Malibu, and on to Santa Monica. It is gorgeous. I know you didn't want the T. Bates travel advisory, but there you have it anyway. Anyway, we're getting you ready for the opening bell with the New York Stock Exchange. It's going to ring here in just a few minutes. So far, so good. As you can see, the Dow, S&P 500, and NASDAQ are all in the green right now. Gold is the only blemish on our board, but we'll continue to check this for you throughout the day and keep you updated. And again, we'll take you to New York and the stock exchange there for the opening bell here in about 7 minutes. But now let's get you over to David. David, good morning. I don't know if you've ever been on the Pacific Coast Highway, but when I'm not one of those, oh, it's so good. Dude, the Pacific Coast Highway is a gorgeous drive. I could barely drive because I kept finding myself looking to the left, trying to see the ocean, and I had to pay attention to all the traffic, but it's gorgeous.
It's amazing. And if you're driving south, you can look at it on the right side, actually. Okay, there's some geographical situations there. Which, by the way, we did the whole trip from San Francisco all the way down. I mean, you don't get Highway 1 up in San Francisco as much, but down from San Francisco all the way to San Diego. And when you get right around San Simeon and the castle there, and you go down through Santa Barbara and Malibu, and my goodness gracious, come on.
Gorgeous.
It's just amazing. Gorgeous. Yeah. It reminds me of my palatial estate there in Malibu, but I don't have one. So thank you, T. Bates. Appreciate it. All right. Time for our daily dose of dollars and common sense with American Sunrise early edition host and Jake's Takes Substack author as well, Jake Novak. He wears a lot of hats. Jake, we heard a little more from President Trump himself yesterday about how some of the big banks refused his business in 2021. He was not alone, for sure. Tell us more about that. Good morning to you.
Hey, yeah, good morning. And whenever you do this story about banks kicking out conservatives, you hear from more conservatives and very often religious groups who have the same story. And so why is President Trump talking about this again? Because he is preparing an executive order, according to a number of reports, that will crack down on these banks. What I like about this executive order, David, is that it doesn't create new law. It basically says we have laws on the books that make it illegal for banks to refuse people's business as long as they're not doing anything illegal. You can't do that. And he's basically saying, I'm going to make it much more easy for you to be prosecuted under those existing laws. I like when we don't make new laws, but I'm going to make it easier for you to be prosecuted under those existing laws if you do this. You know, we've had a lot of guests here on Real America's Voice on different programs, my program, your program, other shows here on RAV, who've all told the same story. This is not anyone's imagination. This isn't some kind of conspiracy theory. This really happened. And it's good to see some pushback on this. I can't wait for the signing of that executive order. Maybe that'll be the one part of the announcement today from President Trump at 4 p.m.
Yeah, looking forward to that for sure. We'll see what it is. Jake, you keep telling us how this EV movement in America, or moment, in America has peaked. So now there's more evidence of that. So tell us more.
Yes, I'm giving all of you guys the weapons that you need for when the liberals come at you and say, President Trump killed the electric vehicle. He killed it with the bill that took away that subsidy. Folks, the EV movement has peaked in America. It's peaked at about 10% of the market. This has been happening for over a year now. EV sales have been going down. The latest company, Rivian. Hey, I like the look of their SUVs. They're kind of cool, and their trucks. But their sales have been tanking, and their latest report was very, very weak. And this is all while that $7,500 tax credit is still in place. So if anybody tells you that President Trump killed the EV market, you just tell them that for more than a year, well over a year before the tax break went away, it was already tanking. It is never, in my opinion, I don't think it's going to get much higher than this amount of the market, and that's fine. 10% of the public's going to want to buy these things. Great. They have the right to do so, but they don't have to take my tax money to give them an incentive.
Jake, let me just say on a separate note, somewhat related, very impressed by your liberal impersonation with the out. Why? It makes me think of that woman in 2016 when Hillary didn't break the glass ceiling. Why? Anyhow, I just wanted to, just a thought because random things come into my head. All right, Jake, let's talk about food. One of my favorite topics, actually my favorite topic, maybe ahead of the Bible. Okay, maybe not. But it's Wednesday, not Taco Tuesday. But apparently you say tacos are becoming the kings of fast food. Trust me, I'm listening because you had me at taco.
Yeah, look, what we're seeing in the fast food space is a real interesting new competition, a race for even more cheap opportunities. So in other words, not so much some of these higher end. I mean, believe it or not, McDonald's is kind of higher end. To feed a family of 4 at McDonald's will cost you probably over $50. You go to Taco Bell, it's probably going to cost you 35 cents. Okay, I'm just kidding, but it's cheaper at Taco Bell. And that's what we saw this morning. Yum Brands, which owns Pizza Hut, KFC, and Taco Bell, didn't have a good report for Wall Street today and yesterday. But the one good division was Taco Bell because of those 3 brands I just mentioned. It's the cheapest. People I don't think are eating necessarily all that much more fast food, but when they are going to fast food, they're saying to themselves, if I'm going to spend $50, $60, $70, I'm going to get a much better meal out of it. I'm not going to go to McDonald's. And if I'm going to spend on fast food, I want to even have less money. So if you're in the fast food space right now, you better be thinking about discounting because they're not looking for a higher end within that lower space.
Well, I was with my daughter the other day and my 2 granddaughters. We went through McDonald's. It was like $38 for like 3 people, and 2 of them were kids. It was insane. So yeah, that's clearly a problem. And I was trying to pay with cash, by the way, which the crumpled up dollar bill in my pocket. And my daughter looked at me and goes, "Really? How about you use the app, the McDonald's app? You'll get it for a lot less." All right, got to run. Jake, great to see you. Appreciate it.
Good evening.
Phenomenal. So much advice, food and everything. All right, time for some business food, the stock market. T-Bates, sponsored by AMAC.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
The opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange set to ring here within the next minute or so. As you can see, BlackBerry is on the podium or at the podium right now. The applause is underway, which means that the bell is going to ring here in short order. Pre-market trading looking good on all of the major indices. The Dow, S&P 500, and the NASDAQ were all in the green. So let's see if any of that changes now that the markets are officially open. You hear the bell ringing. And just like that, let me refresh my phone here. just like that, it looks like things may have taken a little bit of a dip, at least temporarily. Look at our board here. Now things are starting to come back on. The Dow was just in the red, but now it's back up into the green. The S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, as well as VIX and gold, are all in the red. The only other bright spot on our board at the moment is oil, which is also in the green. So we'll continue to monitor this. All right. Well, the NASDAQ was up there for a minute, and now it's back down. As you saw, it can change quite literally that quickly. Anyway, is the continued divide between Trump and the Federal Reserve putting us all behind the curve yet again? Can the Fed take the right action at the right time, or are we going to be looking at a potential economic slowdown? And what does this all mean for your savings? Well, you may want to consider diversifying with gold through the Birch Gold Group. For decades, gold has been viewed as a safe haven in times of economic stagnation, global uncertainty, and high inflation. The Birch Gold Group makes it incredibly easy for you to diversify your savings into gold, though. If you have an IRA or an old 401k, you can convert that into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold, or simply buy some gold to keep in your safe. First, though, get educated. The Birch Gold Group will send you a free information kit on gold if you text the word America to the number 989898. Again, that's texting the word America to the number 989898. Consider diversifying a portion of your savings into gold. That way, if the Fed can't stay ahead of the curve for the country, at least you can stay ahead for yourself. Coming up, if you're stressed about issues happening around the country, don't even worry about it. We've got you covered. Plus, the former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, has a prediction for the 2026 midterms. What does he think is going to happen? Find out the answers on the other side of the break.
Say thank you for your service.
Yeah, sure.
I'm sure you've heard that before, but we want you to know that we understand the freedoms and liberties in this country are because of people like you who served and gave everything for the cause of freedom. We don't take that lightly. So thank you for everything you've done and sacrificed for us.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me.
We're ready for our ticket.
It's been paid.
People thank me for my service all the time. But I want to thank you for being someone
worth fighting for. You make it all worth it. If you really want to thank me and other veterans like me, go to helpdav.org and support disabled American veterans. That is the best way to say thank you and keep our promise to our nation's heroes.
You can say thank you to our nation's heroes by going to helpdav.org right now, or call the number on your screen and give your monthly support of only $19. Your support lets our disabled veterans know you appreciate them and everything they have sacrificed for us. When you do, we'll send you this DAV blanket as a thank you and a reminder that you support those who served.
When you support DAV, you're showing veterans like me that you were worth fighting for.
Please call or go online to helpdav.org right now. Your support in this moment honors our veteran service.
I have spent the entire show, when I'm not on air, in the chat, trying to find out what is fun to do in Pittsburgh. I still don't have an answer. Welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm sure Pittsburgh is a wonderful city. Can't wait to go. Going to see the Donny Iris concert there. But there's got to be something else to do. Thank you for joining us this morning. We invite you to hop in our conversation. Our chats are so much fun over on Getter and Rumble. I understand there's one on YouTube now as well. It is now time to take the political pulse of America. The Beat today, former House Speaker Newt Gingrich has a prediction for the 2026 midterms. During a recent interview, Gingrich says he believes voters will be faced with a choice between economics and politics during the upcoming elections. He explained how President Trump's policies are working for the American people, hinting at a possible, quote, Trump boom next summer. I think he means an economic boom. Take a look.
Of the one big beautiful bill with enormous breakthroughs in both taxes and regulations. You combine that with the relative effect for manufacturing of the tariffs, and you combine that with Trump's going around the planet picking up sales for American goods and picking up investments for America. I think by next summer we're going to be in the Trump boom. It's going to be very real, and it's going to create a choice for the voters next year between a Trump boom on the one hand and the Democrats' gloom on the other hand.
Royce White is a Minnesota Senate candidate and the host of the Royce White Show here on Real America's Voice. And, here's the thing, though, Royce. Thank you for joining us today. Welcome. Here's the thing, though. A Trump boom in the midterms, I don't know if that will translate fast enough because we do have this whole debt thing looming, and a lot of conservatives that I know, they want to see resolution on this. They want to see this debt answered. Do you think it'll be answered in time for the midterms to garner the sort of motivation that conservatives will need to get out there and be active? Because a lot of people don't even vote in the midterms.
Well, we certainly hope so. I mean, running for U.S. Senate, I think regardless of whether or not we feel, regardless of whether or not we feel the effects of Trump's incredible economic policy so far this term, American citizens, and we talk about this all the time, the precinct strategy and things as such, the American people have to be much more conscious and caring about the value of their citizenship. That's why, I mean, in general, if you think that the United States Senate and your governors, for example, or even your Congress members don't matter in the midterms, then you don't understand the game yet. So that's not on President Trump. He can only do so much.
Yeah, let's keep along, Royce, with the financial storyline here, because President Trump is going to appoint a Federal Reserve governor a little later this week, and also a labor statistics chief. The BLS person he fired, he's going to put someone in that role. What's your take on some of the moves that Trump has made this week, and about Jerome Powell? Where are you on that? Like, who might be a good Fed Reserve chairman going forward? Because that eventually is going to be changed as well.
Well, I've been a huge look. I trust Donald Trump and his team to figure out who's best to serve the agenda that they're trying to implement as far as the economics. I have always been a huge critic of the Federal Reserve. If it were up to me, we just get rid of the thing. But hey, we're making progress, and the problem with the Fed, and it's a two-way problem, right? The problem is with the Fed, but also with Congress. Congress could regulate the Fed, but since the Congress hasn't had the stones to regulate the Fed, we have to do something about the Fed itself. So, I'm looking forward to see who these appointments are, and I support the president 100% in what his appointments have been up until this point.
I hear you loud and clear that you'd like to get rid of the Fed. In the meantime, the Fed is here, and at least for the foreseeable future, it's here to stay, which brings us to interest rates. Talk about how royally you see the Fed having screwed up when it comes to interest rates and its lack of action, or lack of at least dropping interest rates.
Well, look, again, we take a wide view of the institution. People say, well, they're controlling inflation. I say they're creating inflation. And the problem is, if you take a wide enough look at the Fed across the entire existence of the institution, the value of the dollar has decreased exponentially. And that's what the real problem is. We can talk about trends and ups and downs in the short term, but overall, the Fed has conspicuously been linked to the depreciation of the value of the dollar. And it's about time there's a reckoning, in my opinion.
So if there is a reckoning, what does that look like?
Well, again, I would get rid of it. But what the Fed...
Right, that's what I'm saying. But how what is the process? It's easy to say get rid of it, but then you have to think about procedurally, how is that done?
Here's the deal. Here's what they should do first. there's about a $9 trillion phony debt on the balance sheet of completely financialized debt. It's about $9 trillion. I think they should take that haircut first. That should be the first thing that goes down the hatches. They take a haircut on the $9 trillion of completely collateralized debt. And that's where I would start, honestly. The $9 trillion they should eat.
Yeah. Hey, Royce, let me move to the midterms real quick. You're running for Senate in Minnesota. Tina Smith is not going to run again, so you got to obviously get through the primary, the Republican primary. How does this shape up, not just in Minnesota? I mean, you can please talk about your race for sure, and a lot of what's coming ahead, but also overall the midterms. I mean, Democrats have got some real tough sledding ahead of them. I mean, they got to figure out seats in Georgia, in Michigan, Senate seats there. They're kind of playing defense here a bit.
Well, for sure. In 2024, I said the referendum was on the American people, and we answered that call. In 2026, the referendum is completely on the Republican Party in the swing states. And in a state like Minnesota, you know, I know people hate to hear me say the word, but we do have a big uniparty problem here still in the state of Minnesota. And for example, you know, Angie Craig is another LGBTQ proponent, progressive politician. And we got a communist running for mayor, and Omar Fateh, and they're trying to rally, which they should. I mean, we shouldn't expect anything different. They weren't just going to lie down and play dead. We're in good position to win a state like Minnesota. I was just talking to MinnPost the other day, which is a longstanding newspaper in the state. And even they called me ahead of time and said, hey, we feel like the Republicans got a great chance to win this U.S. Senate seat. You know, how do you feel about the primary? The primary is going to be tricky because there's still a huge, battle going on quietly in the Republican Party of MAGA or no MAGA, or Donald Trump or no Donald Trump. And a lot of people had to bend the knee and eat crow and kind of support Donald Trump last time when I think this time in the midterm, you're going to see a rally from within the party against Donald Trump as well, as he struggles to, kind of keep his eyes on everything happening across the country while he deals with things like the Fed and all the other things that he's doing across the world.
So are you saying that despite the many wins of the Trump administration, there are still some Republicans in Minnesota who were inauthentic supporters of the president?
Yeah, Tom Emmer.
Lots of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you called names, so I will actually. I'm not mad at that. I do want to go to. You mentioned Omar Fateh. How concerned are you at the local politics there in Minneapolis specifically? He's a mayoral candidate there who's getting lots of press, who apparently has some momentum. How might that potentially impact your candidacy long term?
Well, here, let's talk about this. The Fed is a big issue, and I've been critical of it for years and years. The machines are another issue, and I know people don't want to have to deal with that yet, but that should be high up on the priority list as well. We have to do something about these machines, and we should do something well ahead of 2026 if possible, or all that we can do. Now, can we do it in Minnesota? That's going to be a tough lift. And again, I really question how many people are voting Democrat or Republican down in CD4 and CD5 in those congressional districts. And part of I said Tom Emmer for a reason. Part of my criticism of him is he is the titular head of the Republican Party here in Minnesota, and he's very involved in statewide politics, although he's only a Congress member, and he doesn't really need to deal with the inner cities to win or retain his seat from CD6, which is a conventionally Republican district. I mean, anybody could run in CD6 as a Republican and win. And I'm not taking anything away from his campaigns, but he lives in a very Republican district. But the statewide politics are something different. And right across the road in CD5 and CD4 is where the key is to winning a statewide election. And the Republican Party has not went into the inner cities at all for decades. I mean, I was the first one to say, hey, we should go to some of these professional sports events and put our Republican T-shirts on and at least introduce ourselves to some people. And that was like, whoa, what do you mean? It's like, don't we need them to vote for us? Maybe. We don't necessarily want to win. Bannon and I talk about the Washington Generals play of some of these Republicans all the time, and that's what we have to be concerned about. I'm going to go into the city. So whether Omar Fateh wins or not, he's going to have to debate me at some point, or he's going to have to hide out like the coward he is.
Yeah, those Trumpy come-latelys, they get on my nerves too. Especially, you're like, we'll welcome anyone, but it's the ones that jump and run for the dark crevices every single time there's a Russia, or a whatever. Then they come back and act like they've been Trump forever. Those are really annoying people. But I want to ask you, aside from doing the Royce White show right here on RAV, which, by the way, airs every single Saturday morning at 9 a.m., tell us just the briefest bio on your background as well, because about 30 seconds left in the show. Not in the show, in the block.
The great Steve Bannon is my mentor. He came and recruited me in some ways to join the MAGA movement and the populist movement because of the things that I was already speaking out against, like the Federal Reserve, for example, but also other things like global corporate community and all the globalism that we're continuing to fight and making progress on. But the only important thing that people need to know about me is that I don't sell out. I don't sell out. I don't mince words. And I don't mean the American people any harm. And I would much rather, take the criticism and hit pieces from the mainstream media before I ever let the country continue on in the direction that it was.
Yeah, Royce White, great to have you on. By the way, are you really? It looks like you might be holding your phone. If that's true, I don't know. That is impressive, because I would have literally dropped it about 30 seconds in.
Yeah, that is
just
hard to do.
with my muscle strength.
Hey, I'll do anything for you guys. I'm on the campaign trail this morning. I'm out here, knocking doors and doing the thing. And remember normal. Remember when you could just walk outside and comfortable and safe. So. I'm doing anything for you guys this morning.
You're a real American.
Thanks, Royce. Appreciate you, brother.
Thanks.
Godspeed.
God bless.
All right. Look, by the way, if you're stressed about back taxes, maybe you missed the April deadline or your books are a mess. So here's the deal. Don't wait. The IRS is cracking down. Penalties add up fast, Hunter. Oh, sorry. That was an ad lib. 5% per month, up to 25%, just not for filing. But there's help. Tax Network USA can take the burden off your shoulders and stop the spiral before it gets worse. They've helped thousands of Americans, whether you're an employee, a small business owner, or haven't filed in years. If you've got messy books, that sounds weird, no problem. They've seen it all and know exactly how to clean it up. With direct access to powerful IRS programs and expert negotiators on your side, Tax Network USA knows how to win. Trump likes that. You'll get a free consultation, and if you qualify, they may even be able to reduce or eliminate what you owe. More importantly, they're going to help you protect you from wage garnishments, bank levies. So don't wait for the next IRS letter. Call 800-905-8000 or just visit tnusa.com/RAV to talk to a real expert at Tax Network USA. So take the pressure off. Let Tax Network USA handle your tax issues. All right, more American Sunrise after the break, everybody.
Why aren't you getting results? Random workouts, overtraining muscles, completely missing others, wasted time. Don't do that. Do this. This is 25 Minute Speed Train. Follow me for just 25 minutes a day, 7 days a week, with minimal equipment, and get actual results.
Look at the definition. I didn't have these arms at high school.
Subscribe to Body in the next 24 hours for less than 50 cents a day and get 25 Minute Speed Train free at bodywithaneye.com.
Selling your home shouldn't be expensive or stressful. At Ideal Agent, we'll connect you with a top local agent that'll sell your home fast for top dollar, and all this for as low as a 2% commission.
Ideal Agent connected me with the best realtor in my market, and I saved $12,500 as a result of it, and I got more than my asking price.
Ideal Agent is available nationwide, there's no obligation, and best of all, our service is completely free. Call today or visit idealagent.com.
Hey, I'm former Navy SEAL Cade Courtley, and out here, I can't afford to be without power. That's why I carry the brand new Alpha Case Elite solar generator from 4 Patriots. An all-in-one solar power station packed inside a covert case. Inspired by advanced military tech, it powers your lights, tools, even your fridge. No gas, no noise. You'll get a solar panel included free. Go to 4patriots.com and get your Alpha Case with a free solar panel now.
A heart attack? Do they have life insurance?
No.
But we have life insurance. John.
I'm trying to find something we can afford.
Fortunately, in only a few minutes, SelectQuote found John a $500,000 policy for only $29 a month. and his wife Anne a $500,000 policy for only $21 a month. Go to SelectQuote.com now and get the insurance your family needs
at a price you can afford. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Let's spill some tea.
Welcome back. I'm American Sunrise contributor Emily Finn. Let's spill some tea, sponsored by Artillery Tea Company. Make sure to go to artilleryteaco.com and use the promo code RAV for 10% off your next order. Artillery Tea is all natural, whole leaf. The tea bags are chemical free and each tea bag can be used twice. Artillery Tea Company is family and veteran owned and operated, and a portion of your purchase goes to help veteran and first responder charities. Make sure to go to artilleryteaco.com and use the promo code RAV for 10% off. It is time now to spill some tea, and in the cup today, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. According to Just the News, newly released internal Homeland Security memos show U.S. intelligence agencies had long-standing concerns about Walz and his connections to the Chinese Communist Party. Those concerns only increased after former Vice President Kamala Harris selected Walz as her running mate in the 2024 presidential election. One Homeland Security employee reportedly wrote in a group chat, quote, "China is happy," one day after Harris made the announcement. Let's bring in Dr. Gina, David, and Terrance for more here. David, I'll go to you first on this one. Pretty shocking, this revelation.
Well, I'm Tim Walz. I mean,
I knew that was coming, Emily.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me, honestly. But let's just say this. And Gina, this is going to, quote, get your goat, if you will. You know, there are no term limits for governor in Minnesota. So he can run for as long as he wants. He was elected in 2018. He got reelected in 2022. He's up in 2026. He hasn't decided yet if he's going to run for a third term, but it looks like he is going to. So that'd be a third term. He could run for a 12th term in Minnesota. So I just wanted to impart that information to you, Gina, so you could get riled up, because when you're riled up, we like it. The audience likes it. Go for it. No, I'm just kidding. Do your thing.
Well, I'm really glad that there are networks like ours that have people like Steve Bannon that get out there and recruit people like Royce, because that's exactly what it's going to take to get rid of this insane governor with his CCP ties. That doesn't really surprise me at all. Like you said, David, there's just something so smarmy and disgusting about this man. I don't know what exactly it is, but you felt it the moment you saw him on the national stage, which I could have really done without. He should have just stayed in his governor's seat and done his thing. But no, it takes the people rising up and voting someone out. And we can say, well, they don't, so we should limit our own ability to vote for people or against people. But then sometimes you get really good people. See, we forget about that when we talk about term limits. We think about the bad people. Sometimes we get really good people and we take away our own right to vote them out. I don't want to get distracted with term limits, but David, you had to bring it up. Yeah. But I do think if there were ever a good excuse for term limits, you might be looking at it right there. I'll give you that one, Dave.
Would you like me to yield my time? Do you have more, Dr. Gina? I'm more than happy to yield my time to the gentlewoman currently living in Florida.
No, we want to hear from you, Terrance, please.
Okay. You know what? I wonder, and we shall see here in 2026, if in fact Tim Walz does run for office again. I'm wondering if his performance as Kamala Harris's vice presidential running mate is ultimately going to help him. He didn't really acquit himself well, I don't think, during that term. And, you know, it's hard when you don't really have a platform to run on. But I don't think he acquitted himself well. And I wonder if that's ultimately going to be an Achilles heel for Tim Walz, if in fact he does decide to run for re-election. We'll obviously see next year, but I suspect that it's not going to help him. It very well may hurt him more.
Yeah, think.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that there, Terrance. All right, great discussion, you guys. Still to come on American Sunrise, with an almost 70-year age gap between them, these Florida best friends are taking the internet by storm. We have the heartwarming story on how these besties met when American Sunrise returns. We'll be right back.
Poverty is unimaginable.
There are people who are struggling.
This is where she washes the dishes.
If you're ever going to allow your Christian faith to rise and to do something for God's chosen people, now is the time.
This is the home of Galina. She's 96 years old.
This is what she had to eat for today.
She has one pot with water and wheat.
My father was killed by the Nazis, and I was an orphan. I didn't know about God. But now, in the cold, hungry nights, I pray for food to the God I've never known. There are good people that love you.
You see the tears. Scripture says joy can come in the morning, and you can be the reason.
Right now in Ukraine, elderly Jews are trapped in unbearable poverty. If you will bless these hurting children of Israel, you will receive God's blessing in return. Your urgent gift today of $25 will help rush a survival food box filled with life-saving essentials. Call, scan, or go online now.
I'm not exaggerating when I tell you, I don't know how much longer she could have waited for us to come.
I can't even grow my food anymore. What will happen to me? I'm doomed to starve.
Tens of thousands of elderly Holocaust survivors in the former Soviet Union are living in extreme poverty, hungry, and forgotten. But through the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, we can bring them hope.
Eggs. It's my favorite food. May you be blessed.
You say to them, we see you and we're here to help.
Please don't delay. Call, scan, or go online now.
All right, welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Dr. G. Thanks so much for joining us today. And thanks so much. Everyone in the chat has just been so great today. And now it is time for our Sunny Side Up. And in the pan today, a pair of unlikely friends in Florida. They're going viral on social media for being almost 70 years apart. 29-year-old Estrella, I'm really botching the Spanish there, was driving to pick up lunch from Wendy's when she noticed an elderly woman with a walker crossing the street. Now, this woman was 97-year-old Lillian, and she was on her way to the bus stop. Estrella offered her a ride, and the two ended up sharing lunch together, bonding over all of their similarities. They both have family ties to Nicaragua, and they love the same kinds of foods. The duo has continued meeting for lunch, and they've posted their friendship updates to TikTok.
Mire, ahora somos amigas. ¿Y usted? Mi nombre es Estrella.
Estrella. Ese bonito ese nombre. Yo soy nicaragüense.
Los dos somos nicaragüenses.
Aquí en León.
Mi papá nació en León.
Wow. En León no tener a nadie, es muy triste.
Ya me tiene a mí como amiga, no se preocupe.
Ajá. Así, ahora vamos a ser amigas.
Sí, sí.
What a beautiful friendship. And I'll just bet you, I'm sure Lillian gets a lot out of it too, but I will just bet you that Estrella, why can't I say her name? Estrella. I know how to speak Spanish and I can't say her name. I bet she gets the most out of that relationship because my mom worked in nursing homes much of my life. I would walk there after school and sometimes even stay the night there.